Hi, everybody. Hey, there's iHall Boxes.
G'day, folks.
I think I said hi to everybody else, but he
Hello,
just
hello,
joined.
hello.
Nick Camacho's here, and Steffi will be joining us momentarily.
So we're going to vamp.
Yes, we're going to just fill in some time till she... And then we've got something really exciting for you at the start of the show. Ooh. It's going to be so good. Can't wait for you to see it.
I can't wait.
We're very easily entertained here.
Well, we are, yeah.
Yeah.
Simple pleasures.
Yeah, but you put some work into this, Nick. It's pretty cool.
Not exactly Oscar-winning level, but...
Well, next year you'll be nominated. They were too late for the nominations this year.
Fair enough.
We're going to be talking away, and you're going to tell us, dear live audience, if our volumes are...
Mike Pipers, how are our volumes?
How's things today?
What does the mayor have to say? The mayor of APG.
I don't know. Let's see what he says.
We're all ears.
What, are you making fun of my big ears?
No, I got big ears too.
The better to hear you with.
So does everybody like Jeff's background today? There's a little story behind that I'm sure he'll share with you. Hi, Tim.
Or not.
Tim
Maybe
W.
not.
We've got two Tims. We've got Tim VR and Tim W.
So far, sounds good so far, according to Mr. Kuipers. Yeah, I haul boxes.
He says he's on hold. It looks like maybe he's being called out for a flight or something. Got to change into wearing a shirt and tie.
Oh,
Is that
I
what he
thought it was
means?
because he saw me in a shirt and tie and decided he needed to
Maybe.
bump up his class
Oh,
level.
maybe that's it. I didn't quite pick up
No,
on
I
it.
think you're
Speaking
right.
of,
I think it
Because I
has
can't
something to do
see
with
that
his
you've
job.
got a tie. Oh, to match
Oh, no,
Jeff.
I was right.
You were
To
right.
match Jeff.
See, I can't see your tie. It's the same color as your shirt.
I know it's just it blend. This is my Delta tie
So it's your funeral. You're going to funeral
and a funeral
tie.
tie. How appropriate.
I think someone needs to buy you a nice white silk tie, Jeff, to wear with that. That would look
I don't
very
think
cool.
Jane would appreciate that.
Well,
Really?
that would look kind of mafia-esque, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
They wear
I
white
think
shoes,
he
too.
currently looks
Tim-
pretty
look at Tim.
mafia-esque.
I like Tim W. Wait, we're supposed to wear clothes?
No, you don't have to.
No.
It's
up to you, Tim.
No, Tim, you do. Sorry, mate.
Hey, iHall Boxes, did you listen to the last show?
Part 2.
Part 2, yeah. Did you listen? You were mentioned.
We
You've got
mentioned
a
your
bit of
unmentionables.
sort of underface lighting there, which kind of looks nice and creepy, Jeff.
Thank you.
It looks like he's around the camp. Yes, ma'am, he heard it.
Well, I can't do much about that, Nick.
No,
Because
that's fine.
I
Don't
need
worry
somebody to
about it.
walk around. I need to pay somebody to
I was
walk
just going to
around
say,
in the lower level
give
of this
somebody
club.
$10 to just walk around.
Yeah. Or maybe.
Yes. Invite some homeless people in.
They'd appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jeff, yeah. These people that you invited, do you know
Hi,
them?
Micah.
No, just met them.
That's right.
There's some
Just
new
doing
friends.
my duty.
Yes, they're my new best friends. Replacing the ones that I have
Used to have.
line.
That's
Oh, no.
right. My imaginary friends online.
Shoot. I forgot to turn the gestures off.
Ha, 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 Tim Van Ram.
To turn the what off?
The gestures on,
Oh,
yeah.
right.
Stupid
Going to
Okay.
move your
Insta
camera
camera.
around.
yeah.
So we were talking about football, and I was going to mention this for Tim Van Ram's sake because he's our Bay Area guy. But I have a close buddy who lives in the Bay Area also and is a big Giants fan. So we always talk about sports. And we were just talking about the fact that the Royals and Chiefs, who are the two teams I follow, I'm 37, I guess. And in
I
the
guess.
37 years that I've been alive, if the Chiefs win this weekend, it'll be the sixth championship that the Chiefs and or Royals have played for. And if the Niners win, 3 of those 6 will have been against the Bay Area teams. and the other 3 will have been against like the other 59 teams
Interesting.
that they could play. So
That's some good trivia.
we're getting a built-in rivalry with the Bay Area.
Well, we were talking about the Toronto Buffalo thing. Like, we
better
fit right in with Buffalo because our hockey team, and hockey is a religion up here, I don't particularly care for it, is such a loser team. We haven't won the championship since the 60s sometime. So we fit right in with the Buffalo Bills.
I feel bad for the Bills because they have
They get
they
so
have a
close.
really good quarterback. They've had really good teams, and they have awesome fans. And
Yeah.
they've had a couple of different runs. That run in the early '90s when they went to 4 Super Bowls, and now they just have found like that one.
just find
time
different
period where they
ways to
can't get over the
lose.
hump. Yeah,
Well, I think the last time I saw this, they started this campaign because the kicker, of course, was getting horrible, like, social media stuff.
Yeah.
So they
Death
started
threats,
taking
which
donations
is
to this
insane.
cat rescue. And the last time I looked, I think it was like over $350,000 that they've
yeah,
collected.
that's
Which
awesome.
is cool. All right, where's that Steph?
I'm trying.
You do look like you look like the Munsters or something.
Well, I'm trying to get my colouring right.
Oh, there you go. You're,
I was
you're
going to
right
say,
with you're just
Captain
like
Nick
the
is
wall
looking kind
color,
of like
Nick.
Jolly Saint Nick with
There's
his
Steffi. Hi,
Hi, guys.
his
There are some weird colors
Scarlet
going on
cheeks.
there.
Oh, yeah.
What?
That's better. I look much healthier now.
Do you like Jeff's new
Hi,
artwork in his
Steph.
place?
I do.
Can
Hello.
you diagnose my illness,
This
Steph?
looks like
I just-
jaundice.
I was going to say, you
That's
look a little
Jeffrey
jaundiced
Jones.
to me. I don't know if
Very
that
good.
looks, maybe my screen is off, but that doesn't look very healthy to me.
No.
Hey, Camacho, can you just bump up the gain a little bit more?
Bump it up.
That's it. I had like 5% more.
Steffi,
now
do you
you've
want to
got-
check
okay,
now you've
Unity
got
out?
all of it. I'll just try to lean closer to this thing.
Okay. And when you're talking, don't turn away. Yeah, it looks like everybody's on Unity.
So everybody, get ready to be blown away here at the beginning of the
Blown
show.
The F
Oh,
away.
don't build it up too much.
Yeah.
They're all going to be very disappointed now.
No, they're not.
No, they're not.
Yeah, definitely not. Otherwise, it would disown
Sounds like
them,
Nick
is
has some experience with overhyping something. And then
Yeah,
not
definitely.
not living
Yeah.
up to the hype.
Yeah, and usual
Story of his
remark
life.
is that it?
Yeah, is that all there is? That
Yeah, when
all
are we going
there
to see this big,
is?
cool
Is
surprise?
that all there is?
That was it.
Oh, that's very good.
Hey, Steph, so
Yes?
you said something about the last time I introduced you that there was too much stuff there.
Yeah, I don't know. Just pick a few things. It's okay.
I tell you what, you edit it, and then I'll read it. And only Steph, don't anybody else get some idea. I know I can already tell.
I'd like to edit it, but my Evernote is still.
I love
trying
IHOP
to-
Box's comment.
At the end of the show when the
Outro jingle wakes me
outro
up.
jingle wakes me up. Oh,
That's nasty.
that's not nice
That's not nice.
at all. Okay, let's see.
We know you're just kidding, right? You're just kidding, huh?
Doctor
Yeah.
Skydiver. Oh, somebody's
It's me.
okay.
You're changing Captain Nick.
I wasn't changing Captain Nick.
What now? What's going on? You guys are going to mess with me. Okay.
Luckily, I hardly have anything of note, so there's nothing to edit, so that's good.
See, Steph doesn't want to take any of it out.
No, I'm. I was looking at what's happening with Captain Nick's stuff there.
I like Scarebus.
Scarebus.
Yeah.
Oh, Camacho must have done that, huh? I can't tell who's green. Oh no.
Yeah, that's what I was laughing at earlier.
Okay.
Green is apparently Nick. Captain Nick.
I wouldn't want to change anyone else's. It might be rude.
Well, you've changed yours, and it is rude. I'll read it if you want.
Maybe he aspires to
Well,
that, Jeff.
We like a bit. Yeah, indeed. Yes, but at my age, it would be quite a feat.
That's the wrong body part.
I'm not looking at Evernote, so
Okay.
are we ready?
We actually might be ready. Hang on. Let me just double check.
Have you got your recorder on?
I do.
Okay.
I got that thing on a while ago.
Okay. Just checking.
All right. Let's do it. Just a quick sound check for everybody in the chat, just to
room?
make sure that Radio
You're
Rogers
listening to
thing's
the
not too
Airline
loud.
Pilot Guy Show.
The view from our side of the cockpit door. WAP.
How's that?
Sounds good to me.
All right.
Talk. Tick.
But
tock.
when I get my new hearing aids,
It'll be way too loud.
yeah, I'll forget. What?
Yes.
Turn it
Okay.
down.
Tell me when to put
You
the
kids,
logo.
get
whack
off
it.
my lawn.
5x5. Tim W says 5x5.
Beautiful. Okay.
Okay.
Y'all ready?
I'm ready.
Go full screen. Here we go.
I am.
Here comes the countdown.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show.
The view from our side of the cockpit door. WAPG. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Airline Pilot Guy, episode 603.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy show, the view from our side of the cockpit door, with your host, Captain Jeff, broadcasting live from Studio 1A at APG headquarters in Roswell, Georgia. Today's show is recorded on the 26th of January, 2024.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy. Put your light and it's flying by. With the Airline Pilot Guy.
In today's episode, an airline flight lands on a highway just after taking off from Washington Dulles, and the engine of a 747 freighter catches fire after a takeoff in Miami. Also ahead, more news and your feedback. So get all settled in. Tray tables and seat backs in the upright and lock positions. Electronic devices powered on. I'm Radio Roger, and Flight 603 is ready for pushback.
Thank you, Radio Roger. He's an award-winning TV and radio reporter, currently at the #1 all-news station in the nation, 1010 Winds on 92.3 FM in
New York City.
Welcome to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. It's an aviation podcast covering the latest in aviation news and answering your great feedback. I'm Captain Jeff, former U.S. Air Force UPT instructor and Starlifter pilot, retired 727, 717, and Mad Dog captain for Delta Airlines. And joining us today from her lakeside studio in South, Dr. Skydiver, marathon runner, IPA connoisseur, and commercial multi-engine instrument rated backstabbing jumper dumper, it's Dr. Steph.
Hey, Captain Jeff. I think there's probably still too much in there, but we'll
that's
tweak it going forward. Glad to be here at the start of the show today. Glad I made it.
Oh, it's great to have you with us right at the beginning. This is awesome. All right, and I'm laughing because of the new intro for Captain Nick from his studio.
In Hartford, Hereford, and Hampshire.
Professional pornographer, former RAF, RAAF freighter pilot, retired Scarebus A330-340 captain for Virgin Atlantic Airways. It's Captain Prick.
That's great. Well read, Jeff.
Did Nigel
Got it
write that?
Absolutely pick. Look, yeah, it's coincidence. I live in Old Hampshire, but 603, the number of this show, is the sole area code for the U.S. state of New Hampshire. Who would have guessed?
Well, that's obscure
That's
information.
trivia.
Where'd you get that?
That is obscure. Have you been sitting on that one for a couple hundred episodes?
Yeah, ever since I joined the show.
Okay. Wow, that's thinking ahead right there. Great to have you with us, Captain Nick, and also joining us from his home studio in the air capital, low and slow pilot, AMP mechanical, airplane enthusiast, and engineer in the aerospace and defense industry. It's Nick Macho Camacho.
Hey, guys. Glad to slide in here again with you.
Great to have you with us again. And also from her studio in Ontario, Canada, retired financier and aviation enthusiast, spreadsheet master, and our producer, it's Liz Piper.
Hi, everybody. Seeing as it was such a success, that was Captain Nick's work that went into the animation there at the beginning.
Yeah, wasn't that a great, here we
Yeah.
go, here's some applause.
Yeah, I could do slideshows. Whoopee.
Well, none of us are talented enough to do it, so we think it's pretty darn impressive.
I just got
we're
lumbered, that's all. Hey,
All right,
I'm glad
guys.
you enjoyed it.
Have a good show.
All the best. Cheers, Liz.
Did you just say I have lumber? Maybe I'm
I was lumbered with it.
okay.
I was with Jeff. I was just going
I don't know
leave
what's
it
wrong.
alone.
You've got that on the brain, haven't you?
I guess. I don't know. I'm embarrassed to say it, but I guess I do.
Yeah.
Let's do some news. Okay, let's do it. Here we go. If I can find it. Where is it? Oh, here it is.
Stand by for news.
Alrighty, we have the first item here. Let's see, from several news sources. We have some video, and we have an article from the Aviation Herald. And let's just start right off the bat with some audio. Some video of the incident. And now let me go over here to the thing that controls the video. Okay, and take a look at this thing. See an airplane?
Oh my god, it's on fire!
Which is on fire.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Sorry. It's on fire!
Oh, it almost hit a palm tree.
Mom!
Oh, look, there goes the second stage.
Yeah, there.
Now the third stage compressor. Oh, there's a few turbine blades.
You think? Just a few.
Still doing it!
Yeah.
Still doing
All right.
Wow.
That's pretty impressive,
it! Oh
isn't
my
it?
god, it's on fire!
Look,
I
I've
know,
seen.
you already told
I've
us.
seen the
Oh my
night
God.
formation show at Oshkosh. This is
It's on
nothing.
fire!
You know, this does kind of look like that night show at Oshkosh, doesn't it?
It does with all the fireworks.
Okay, I
Yeah.
wonder if they're doing the
Yeah.
emergency-
All right, so
No,
what's happening here? Well, let's do some liveatc.net. This was Miami, an Atlas Air 747-8 freighter, registration 859 GT, performing flight blah 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 from Miami to San Juan Luis Munoz Airport. I can never read this fast enough. Here we go. They're taking off.
Heavy, Miami departure. Good evening. Radar
Giant 95.
contact if you need it. Speed is your discretion. Climb and maintain 160.
16,000, John, 095.
All right, they're flying their heading.
Mayday, Giant 095, heavy engine fire. Request sector back to the airport.
Giant 95 heavy, roger. Just climb and maintain 3,000. If you're through it, you can go to 4. You're cleared to Miami International via radar vectors, flighting 180.
180, John, 095.
Giant 95 heavy, advise how many souls on board and fuel on board. You can expect yellow runway 9. Do you have any time to burn fuel, or are you guys going to be good going?
We'll go ahead and land. We have 5 souls on board, and we have about 5 hours of fuel on board.
Okay, how many souls did you say?
5, sir.
Roger. Giant 95 heavy, turn right, heading 240, and I did miss it. How much pounds and tons for the fuel?
We have 53 tons on board and heading 240, John, 095.
And do you have a time for it as well?
About 5 hours.
Covering all the bases.
Giant 95, have you got a hazmat on board?
Yes, we do, sir.
Roger.
Do you have Miami Rick on board? Yes, we do, sir.
Giant 95 heavy, which engine, and is it out already, or you guys are still trying to work that out?
It's engine number 2, and we're still trying to work it out.
Roger. Giant 95 heavy, did you guys lose it on the runway or in the air?
On the climb out.
Roger. Sky 95 Heavy, turn righting 280, and as you can, maintain 3,000, speed your discretion.
280, 3000, Giant 095 Heavy.
Sky 95 Heavy, plotting 290, how far you guys want to go?
Say again for Giant 95.
Heading 290, and how far do you guys want to go? You just want a 10 mile front, or you guys want to go 20, 50 now? It's up to you.
About 10 miles of front, sir.
Roger, expect the base turn in 5 miles and plotting 290 for Giant 95 Heavy.
290 heading 0095 Heavy.
They're getting it done.
Say your current winds, fuel conditions for Giant 95 Heavy.
The current wind at Miami is 210 at 3, and the altimeter is 3007.
Okay, 3007. Temperature, please.
Give me 1 second.
What a nice guy, not asking them to go to the
Again for
80s.
Giant 95.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed,
Q&A.
actually.
The altimeter is 3007. I just got the weather here. It's few clouds 2,500, few clouds 5,000. Temperature is 23, and the dew point is 22. It's all for Miami. And the weather there is showing calm, but the live speed I'm getting is 220 at 4.
Okay, copy weather. Thank you.
He's watching a live
Giant
stream.
95 Heavy, fighting 340 to try to maintain 1,500.
340, 1,500, Giant 095 Heavy.
Giant 95 Heavy, you're 7 miles from an S. Turn righting 070, maintain 1,500 to establish and localize your LS showing down approved.
070, 1,500 to establish cleared ILS 9, Giant 095 Heavy.
Giant 95 Heavy, speed is your discretion, and stand by for the frequency. Giant 95 Heavy, contact tower 120.35.
12035, good night.
Good night.
Giant 095 Heavy, made aircraft outside of Venice, 1,500.
Giant 095 Heavy, Miami target. Wind is 210 at 3. 210 at 3 on the winds, clear to land, runway 9.
Clear to land 9, Giant 095.
All right, they're landing. Rolling out.
Giant 095 Heavy, can you exit or you want to hold there and have them get you a look over?
We'll stop here at Tango 8 and have a look at it.
Okay, right at that. Giant 095 Heavy, left turn near Tango 8, and then make a left turn to join Tango westbound, and then you can stop there for us to give you a look over.
All right, there we go. 6 minutes later, I guess they taxied to the ramp. Well done, I have to say. And I have to also say, I don't know if you all have noticed, or maybe it's just my imagination, but more and more pilots here in the U.S. are using the term Mayday, Mayday, Mayday when they're doing their emergency procedures. And I can't help but think that it's because of our show, actually. And
definitely, we've been a positive influence on.
Yeah, I would like to think so, Jeff, but I just think the word is getting around. That's all. That if you want to be able to clearly classify the emergency you're in, the correct terminology, as ICAO puts out, will get you sorted.
I'm sorry, you're wrong. It's our show.
Fair enough. But it will. It'll carry you in good stead wherever you are in the world. And of course, Atlas is a truly international freight carrier. So it's the sort of phraseology that will work anywhere you go.
Yep. I'm sold. Wasn't the way. What's that? Yeah. I'm ready to use it now.
That's right.
Mayday,
just in time for your retirement.
He'll be in the RV.
Yeah, that's
Mayday.
right.
Yelling out the window.
Nobody's talking to you.
Well, perhaps that's what you should call your RV, Mayday, and have it
that's a
written
good
on the
idea.
back. Yeah.
I like it. Good idea. I'll have to consider that.
Excellent. You know, can I just make a general comment? I loved listening to that guy on the radio. He was so cool, so calm, so just felt by listening to him, he was on top of the situation, and it really helps. And I think it helps the controllers. It helps probably the rest of his crew, that whoever is, and it sounded like the captain. I don't know if it was or not. But whoever it was that was speaking on the radio, just that tone, just that really professional tone, nice, easy to understand, no gabbling, etc. It's remarkable the effect it has on everyone involved in this incident.
I agree. Tim Van Ram says, I can't believe they don't like I Eclair in emergency. Yeah.
Well, we do like an eclair, yes.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you, Captain Nick. I thought just right off the bat, setting that tone, it's okay. Of course, as Liz was mentioning while we were playing the video, well, they have 3 more engines, so I think that probably has something to do with it. The fact that, although it was on fire and it was an impressive looking.
It was burning.
Yeah, it was burning. So that does kind of tend to, up the stress level a bit. And but I agree, setting that tone, that nice, calm, cool, collected. Okay, we've done this before, several times in the simulator. We're just going to go through and just do what we were trained to do. And I also love the fact that the controller didn't say, confirm you have information Zulu, for ATIS.
Yes.
This is the way it was
Exactly.
supposed to be
Super
done.
important. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Anything else?
very well handled incident. Now, just from what was happening with the aircraft, I'd love to hear Nick's thought on what that was. It looks like they were losing bits of the engine at regular intervals.
Yeah. I think when you made your kind of tongue-in-cheek comment about sections of the engine coming out, right? The thing about a turbine engine is when anything goes wrong, everything is such a tight, close fit, tight tolerance sort of scenario that if you have a turbine blade failure or if you have some sort of structural failure in the engine, not only is that section of the engine going to depart, but it's going to do a bunch of damage as it goes out. So I have no idea what started that, but I'm sure that, as something happens and the latter part of the engine ingests whatever came apart, it's just going to become kind of a chain reaction, right? As stuff starts passing through various compressor stages and the turbine, and you end up with that kind of cascading failure through the engine.
On social media, or maybe one of the YouTubers out there, aviation YouTubers, they were talking about an AD on this particular engine, but it was some time ago, and so I'm not sure that this is the same issue or not. But it had something to do with one of the center spools, or it's a multi-spool, whatever you call that thing that's running through the middle of it. Is that called a spool? That all the fan blades and turbine blades are mounted on.
A shaft?
Or the shaft, maybe the shaft. Shifted, perhaps. What? I'm sorry. Did it sound like I was making fun of him? I didn't mean to. I just like the way he says that. It's just very classic.
I've been shafted. That's what you say, Jeff.
Yes, you were just shafted by me. But anyway,
Nick was just trying to tie it back to his other profession. Can't get away from
professional pornographer.
Exactly right. Yes, my retired profession.
But anyway, so as we're saying here, we don't really have that information yet, exactly what the deal was. But they did say something about a softball-sized hole above the number 2 engine. So that's
cool.
Kind of interesting, I think.
Any baseball pitches around there?
I was thinking that they weren't flying that low or over the top of a softball, diamond or whatever. So I don't know if that's what happened or not. Yeah, we'll look for.
No, I think Nick's knocked it on the head there when he says. I mean, it sounds. I would guess it's a blade come loose and has carried a bunch of other internal organs of the jet engine with it as it disappears down the back, and then you get further failures, and each time you get a failure, you get a whole bunch of sparks. Because let's not forget, you're carrying around 4 huge furnaces, basically, that are running at 800 or 900 degrees centigrade, and that's pretty damn hot. When you stop getting smooth airflow through a jet engine, it heats up very damn quick. So a little bit of airflow disturbance through compressor problem, or just a general, this problem that you would have if you lost a blade, is enough to get that temperature up, and then bits start flying off and coming out the back. If there's been a little hole in the casing, of course that's not supposed to happen in theory, but it's very hard for an entire jet engine to disintegrate without causing a fair amount of damage. We all hope that it will be contained. If there's a hole, it means it was an uncontained engine failure, and of course that has the danger of damaging the engine next door, and that then becomes, from a nice calm mayday, 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 that becomes several octaves higher
Right.
when you've got 2 engines out on one side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the one we all worry about.
That's not any fun at all, I would imagine. Actually, I do remember that from my C-141 days. We practiced 2 engines out.
Oh, yeah, we used to do it in the 340 sim fairly regularly, and it was a very interesting incident when you lost both engines on one side.
Yeah, in my case, accident.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
All right. Well, let's add this to the stage and take a listen to this next video from Bass Aviation. Real Aviation Communications. The other one was You Can See ATC, I think, was the video. So here we have a little airplane taking off.
Turn right, heading 340, and contact Potomac departure.
340 and contacting Potomac departure. Tower, mayday, friendly 3,
Scans for 1 center. Air Shuttle 6025, standby 1, friendly 246, say again. Friendly 246.
down here.
Friendly 246, Ellis. Friendly 246, Ellis Tower.
246 on the ground.
Friendly 246, you say you're on the ground?
We are on the ground. We just landed.
Friendly 246, understand you're on the ground. We are dispatching emergency services to your location now.
Hold on.
Am I supposed to read this?
Okay, so let's evacuate the aircraft.
Friendly 246, are you saying that you're evacuating the aircraft?
Okay, ground, friendly 246. The runways across from Wendy's and ALDI.
Friendly 246, roger, understand across from the Wendy's and ALDI.
Affirmative, all passengers and pilots are alive and well, no injuries.
Friendly 246, that's great news, thanks for sharing. How many passengers are on board?
We have 5 passengers and we had 1,100 pounds of fuel, no fire, no problem.
5 passengers, 1,100 pounds of fuel, and how many crew?
2 crew.
7 total, 1,100 pounds of fuel, thank you. Red 338, pilot reported that they landed across from the Wendy's in ALDI, approximately a mile and a half west of the departure on the runway 30.
Where's the beef? All people on board the aircraft evacuated safely. And let's see, let me stop that screen share here and do this screen share. I have something kind of interesting. You want to pop that in? Oh, that didn't sound right. Somebody want to add that to the stage?
Is that what you were looking for?
No.
No? Oh, sorry.
Okay. Let me... The one that says Jeff. There we go. Thank you. So this is Google Maps, and that's ALDI, or ALDI, right there, the grocery store. And then right here, that's Wendy's.
Mm-hmm. And an IHOP, it looks like, maybe. And an IHOP, maybe.
Yeah, it does look like an IHOP. You're right. Wendy's, IHOP. I wonder why they didn't mention IHOP. Anyway,
well,
look at these.
They've just done a pancake onto the road there, so they should really have mentioned the International House of Pancakes, shouldn't they?
Exactly. So look at those high tension wires there. That's the reason why I wanted to show you this.
Oh wow!
It's a nice, that because they plopped it down right in this area here. So
right there, and just before that, there's traffic lights that go across the road. So if you go back, it's not that far down the.
Look at that. What's that, Liz? Okay. Well, I just wanted to show mine first, and now you're more than welcome to show yours. Okay. Let's go here to. So there. Oh yeah. So my picture was obviously taken in a more pleasant time of year, weather conditions wise. But as Steph was mentioning, the traffic signals that they avoided, and there was an aftermath against the guardrail, and that was really the only damage they said that was caused to the road at all, or other than
damage to the
airplane.
road. That prop has some damage to it as well. Yeah. I'm guessing it was still windmilling there, at least. So that's the. Yeah.
Could be. They stopped their grocery shopping and decided to come out and see what all the
Did someone put a
was.
chalk in front of that wheel?
They did, like it was going to move.
Yeah. I was just looking at that, wondering what that was.
Almost looks like
maybe
a Homer
what?
bucket.
No, there's a bucket in front of the nose gear wheel. There's a chalk in the left main.
Oh, there is a chalk. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Maybe I don't know how slippery the road was. Perhaps they were worried on that little incline that it would slide.
Yeah, could do.
Yeah. I mean, it looks snowy, and for those who are just listening or maybe not looking at the pictures we're putting up, it was a quite snowy, icy looking day in where was that, at Dulles? Yeah.
Yeah.
In the DC area.
30.
So, I mean, just looking at this, looks like engine failure right after takeoff, and not a lot of time to make decisions. They made very good decisions from the looks of it in terms of finding a landing area immediately, avoiding a lot of obstacles. We have a picture up right now showing kind of their, track, altitude, airspeeds. That was good.
Yeah, very good. Stan Little, CEO of Southern Airways, the airline, expressed relief that all passengers were safe and commended the pilots for their adherence to safety protocols. The statement emphasized their commitment to a thorough investigation, working closely with the authorities to ensure the safety and security of both passengers and the airline fleet. So it was a friendly. Now, for so many, a lot of times, we're up there and I hear like new call signs and that kind of thing, and I have heard the friendly call sign, and I just never knew who that was, but now I know.
Yep, they fly caravans out of DC. I'm not familiar with all the areas they fly for. They do, I think, some essential air service and Part 135 operations. Nick Camacho can probably help me out on that a little bit if he's familiar, but they fly out of O'Hare as well. Not sure where else, but
I am not very familiar with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Liz wants to know if I could walk in and become a captain. I'd have to look at their requirements and see, maybe. But
would you want to be, though? That's the question. So I was.
I don't think she could afford it, Jeff.
Yeah, probably not.
I was just going to leave that with no comment.
No comment.
Yeah.
I do apologize for. I'm in a public space, and so I don't know if you can hear that in the background or not.
A little bit in the background.
Okay. So yeah, happy ending there. And the second incident,
use of Mayday.
that they used Mayday. So.
Yep. But you saw how quickly that caught the controller's attention, even though it was a stepped-on transmission. They could still hear Mayday through the other transmission to say, stand by. Who was that? Friendly 246. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep, I noticed that myself. That was good. That was great.
Yeah, definitely a strong case for using that terminology.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else to say, or shall we move on?
No, congratulations to the crew, and thank the Lord for a safe emergency landing. That was really well done.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I know we've debated landing on roads or other, suitable surfaces in the past, but I don't think there were a lot of other options here. You had the power lines on one side, the forest on the other side. This was right after takeoff, and it all worked out well. So, great job.
Absolutely.
All righty. Let's continue with the next. This is from Paddle Your Own Canoe. A U.S. district judge has blocked JetBlue's proposed acquisition of Spirit Airlines. Now, this is the airline, not the Aerosystems fuselage manufacturer, in a crushing verdict for the two companies that sent share prices at Spirit tumbling on Tuesday. Judge William Young said in his 113-page judgment that the acquisition of Spirit would harm consumers who relied on the ultra-low-cost carrier's basket basement fares to see friends and family. The verdict marks a major win for the Biden administration's Department of Justice, which brought the antitrust case against JetBlue in a Boston courthouse last September, fearing that the merger would harm airline consumers and drive up airfares. JetBlue had fought and won a bitter battle with Frontier Airlines to acquire Spirit in a bid to get its hands on the carrier's fleet of Airbus A320 series aircraft and assimilate them into its own brand, one which doesn't promise low fares. Those expansion plans, as well as the very future of Spirit Airlines, now look to be in serious jeopardy. In sum, the court has made its best attempt, applying the law to the evidence in this case, to predict the future of a dynamic market recovering from the COVID-19 pandemic in markedly uncertain times, the judgment reads. For the reasons set forth above, therefore, the court rules that the proposed acquisition violates Section 7 of the Clayton Act. Spirit is a small airline, but there are those who love it. To those dedicated customers of Spirit, this one's for you. Why? Because the Clayton Act, a 109-year-old statute, requires this result, a statute that continues to deliver for the American people. I'm not so sure the people at Spirit were that happy about this, really, honestly. Yeah. Anybody else? Okay.
Nope. Sorry. I don't have a lot to add to what the article says, but
I'm thinking that, and Liz and I were talking about this a couple of days ago. This doesn't seem like it's good news for either company, especially Spirit, who seems to be struggling financially. They just sold back or leased back 25% of their Airbus fleet because of their cash flow problems, and I think I read somewhere else that they have just announced stopping their hiring of pilots and flight attendants. Mm-hmm. It just looks, I don't know. I'm not an expert in this area, obviously, but it doesn't look like a good sign for Spirit Airlines.
No, it sounds like it's going to be left to regroup on their own if they're able to.
Yep.
But
I wish I could comment more on the legal aspects of this, because I quite understand exactly what's going on here. So are they, as Spirit, going to declare bankruptcy, you think, if they can't get taken over? And I wonder, or are they just going to go under?
I would
questions.
think, and I'm not an expert in this either, but I think I'd heard rumors that this may force them into reorganization. I don't know if it would mean the type of whichever chapter it is that they go under completely, or if it's just a reorganization and relief from their debt to some of their debtors. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe our audience will have a better grasp on.
This one was curious to me just because we've had so many acquisitions and mergers in the U.S. airline industry in the last 30 years. I don't understand it at all either, but it is curious to me that there is a threshold, and I tried to talk to a couple of people, like business type of people, and it seems like you have to have a decent understanding of the industry that it's associated with. Because I talked to a finance guy, and he said, it probably has to do with them being the two largest value carriers, I guess, in our country. But when you look back at even just the last 20 years with U.S. Airways and American and Northwest is gone, and there's just been a lot of consolidation. So I'm just curious, like how they set that threshold of it's going to be detrimental to the consumer, which is what the article says, right? Like it just says we're not going to let this happen because we believe that the completion of this merger will be detrimental to the consumer.
Yeah, I'm very curious how this case actually was started. Someone has to bring a case, presumably. So it doesn't seem to have benefited Spirit because their shares have reduced in value enormously. So obviously the people who own those shares and want to invest in the airline are going, oh, this is not good. And the Spirit itself wanted the merger to take place because they thought it was the best thing that I guess that they could do in the circumstances. They fought off one takeover bid from Frontier and thought, well, this is going to be much better for us. JetBlue's offer is better, but now a court has stepped in and stopped this from happening. And I'm wondering where the jurisdiction between one company buying another company, how that ends up in court, and then that purchase being denied. It just seems
it's our justice system. So there's like a third unrelated arm, right?
Yeah, just seems to go against the nature of a financial takeover. If a company is struggling and someone wants to buy it and the price is good, everything seems to be fair and above board, then what is the problem?
Yeah, I guess that was kind of what I was getting to also, right? Is that, and the the United States DOJ is the entity that is always kind of spearheading these antitrust situations, whether it's with, a few years ago, there's a big one with Microsoft. There's always antitrust questions with sports leagues and stuff like that. But the DOJ takes this stance that they're kind of like the voice of the consumer to make sure that the consumer, I guess, has a voice here. But like you said, if they're saying like, well, the consumer is going to be worse off if JetBlue and Spirit merge because there used to be two low cost options and now there's one, but making that decision is going to kind of seal Spirit's fate and we end up with one anyway. It's a little, I don't understand.
Yeah, and I think part of their argument is that they're not exactly apples and apples in terms of being low cost. JetBlue's fares are not the same as Spirit's, although I'm sure you could argue that if you're adding up all the baggage and seat and boarding fees and everything else, maybe they're not that dissimilar. I'm not sure. I haven't booked a ticket on either airline in a long time. But I guess the antitrust concern was that if you take away, basically if you eliminate Spirit from the market in this fashion, then consumers don't have that true low cost option.
Okay. All right.
As far as best I can tell.
They're trying to stop a monopoly building up here. Is that
Correct.
the situation?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
And I think also because it's a matter of public transportation here in the U.S., I think the Justice Department is compelled to look at all of these proposed mergers. I don't think that they can just let capitalism just go on its own unchecked and run wild. I think that, in a lot of cases they won't get into it, but in this case they saw something that concerned them as far as competition was concerned. Now, it was kind of referred to in the article indirectly that before JetBlue made a bid for Spirit, that Frontier was also attempting to merge with Spirit, and perhaps that's something that will get re-engaged now. But still an attractive option for Frontier. I don't know.
Okay, interesting.
I guess that Clayton Antitrust Act that was referenced as well has a lot to do with price discrimination. So,
okay, very good. Yeah, we'll see what happens. And as mentioned by all of us, we're not lawyers, so we don't really, go do your own.
We're interested from the airline aspect of it, just in terms of which airlines are out there.
Right. Okay, well, here is our next one here, item D. Yeehaw! All right, from Paddle Your Own Canoe. Sorry. The Transportation Security Administration intercepted more guns on airline passengers. Okay.
The guns were on the passengers, yes.
Okay. That's an interesting sentence, an interesting way to say it. In 2023 than any other year with a record 6,737 firearms stopped at TSA security checkpoints at airports across the United States. Despite clear signage and the risk of civil penalties and even criminal conviction in many states, the vast majority of firearms found by TSA agents last year were loaded. Oh, that's not good. Only 7% of the intercepted firearms weren't loaded, but even then, guns can only be transported on domestic flights if they're locked within a secure, hard-sided case within a passenger's checked luggage. The airport with the most offenders was Atlanta with 451. Yes. Followed by Dallas,
another
Fort
record.
Worth, 373. Houston with 311. Phoenix with... Now, I have to say, this may have some kind of relation to the how busy the airports are and how many passengers are run through their checkpoints every year. I'm thinking, it doesn't express it as a percentage.
They should have done it as a percentage of screened
they're
passengers.
just a bunch of hooligans in Atlanta.
Well, that's probably true. Anyway, TSA Administrator David Bukowski said we're still seeing far too many firearms at TSA checkpoints, and what's particularly concerning is the amount of them loaded, presenting an unnecessary risk to everyone at the TSA checkpoint. So not good. Now, it's interesting, Camacho, you shared with us a sign at your Eisenhower Airport.
Yeah, I actually sent that to you because I saw this article. I don't know if I can.
So
Well, if he has it and he can pull it up for us, I thought that was interesting how they do. That was in Wichita.
So last time I flew, which was a couple of weeks ago when I went to Austin, there was new signage, and basically, the way that the security area in Wichita works is you go up some escalators or elevator from the main floor, and you get to the second floor, and then you're kind of funneled into the little worm thing that takes you in. And this is at the front of the worm thing. This was the new sign. So it was like a 40-inch TV.
Wait, hold on. Hold it up there. There we go. Yeah, cover up your eyes. Move it over your eyes so it doesn't try to focus on your eyes. Okay, back it up a little bit.
Eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty close. Anyway, please check
your bag.
I can check your bag for firearms, I believe. It's like a 40-inch TV that says, please check for firearms now. And then above it is a slightly smaller sign. So it's probably like a 36-inch by 12-inch sign that says, stop, please check your bag. And it's got two little firearms with the red circle crossed through.
Not allowed.
There you go. Yeah. So
I just thought that was interesting, comparing it to how it's done here in Charlotte. They've tried a couple different ways to gently remind people before they actually get to the screening to, hey, if you think you might have a firearm in your bag that you forgot about, check for it now and take it back to your car or something. They used to kind of discreetly or not so discreetly hand these little stop signs to everybody that said check your bag for firearms, and then they just collect it from you when you got up to the TSA agent. I was like, okay, but what if you don't read English or can't read,
right.
That's not helpful. And then now it's just pretty much every time I've been there for the past at least 6 months to a year, as they scan your ID or your boarding pass, the TSA agent will say, no drinks, no firearms. Just with that affect. Yep. Really unenthused with their having to say that. Just no drinks, no firearms. Okay. Thanks.
Huh. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We also, once you get to the other side of the checkpoint in Wichita, they also have the main TSA desk there where, on the front of it, they paste pictures of all the guns they've captured. And I'm always intrigued by that just because I'm curious to see like what type of individual is leaving their gun in their bag or carrying it through with them based on, the gun. It's kind of like judging people by what car they drive. And it does seem like there's probably 100 guns on this wall, right? But I travel enough that I glance at it every couple of months, and it does seem like we have a fairly low number of new guns showing up on the wall. So there are still guns on there from like 3 or 4 years ago, but it is interesting. I have traveled with I have appropriately traveled with firearms in the past. When I lived in California, I'll be coming back to Kansas to see family and stuff. And it is interesting the lack of knowledge on the process that you kind of find through the whole process. I've had, from people at the desk when you go, so you're supposed to get a tag. You're supposed to like get a tag and put it in the case and then lock the case. And then you're the only one that's supposed to be able to get in the case. So at least this is my understanding. I haven't done it for probably 5 years, but my recollection is like you have to have a hard-sided case that's locked with a non-TSA lock, and then it can be like in your suitcase. So like your suitcase can have a TSA lock on it, but they can't access the firearm. And I've had like gate attendants, and it seems it's probably environmentally dependent, right? Like there's far more people traveling with guns in Kansas. So when I've checked guns in Kansas, it's been like a non-issue. They just like glance down there, look at it, give me the tag. I think I've emotionally traumatized a couple of gate agents in California when I said, I got to check a firearm, and I opened the case, and the guy kind of recoiled back like, what are you doing? What are you doing with that? And I'm like, I don't know, man, you're supposed to put a card in there. It's unloaded. Everything's good. And the sheriff's deputy, he was kind of like standing there manning the station, just kind of chuckled about it and came over and spoke to me a little bit afterwards. But I did think it was kind of interesting that even among the airport officials, I think the knowledge of all the regulations and everything is kind of dependent on where you're at.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Except the primary regulation, which is they can't go on the airplane, which is the same everywhere.
Yeah, you'd think that they'd be used to all the... They're in... you're talking about... Oh, that was California, so never mind. They're not used to it.
Yeah, New York are a bit touchy about it, aren't they?
So, yeah, I have never... like I said, I've only gone between California and Kansas with guns for like shooting sports or hunting, but I have heard stories of... I believe the way that it works is because there are different laws between different states, right? So like certain firearms are legal in some states and not legal in other states. And the advice that I've gotten from people who travel with guns more regularly is if anything happens and you end up in a destination where you did not expect to end up, you should not claim your luggage. And the reason for that is because there's been a couple of people who were flying somewhere and they got diverted to New York. New York has some of the strictest gun laws in our country. And so they had no intention of going there. They have a firearm that is probably legal where they left from and where they're going to, but it's not legal in New York. And they land in New York and they are delayed or have an unexpected layover or something. And they're told to not take possession of their bag because they're not liable for the firearm if they don't have it with them. But as soon as they take the bag, the Port Authority can
then they become
deal with the illegal gun that they now have with them. Yeah.
So they just leave it up to the airline to return the bag at some point?
Say again?
Just leave it up to the airline to return the bag at some point, hopefully?
I don't. If you're just like leaving the airport from New York, I don't know what happens. The guy I was talking to, basically like got diverted to New York and then was flying on to his destination the next day, and so he just had to like leave his bag and get a toothbrush and stuff from the hotel, and then fly in his same clothes the next day.
Yeah.
And if you're the captain of an airplane, discover he's got a pocket full of ammunition halfway across the Atlantic on his flight to Paris, I think it was, Jeff. Do you remember that one? Don't flush it down the toilet.
Yeah, that's
Down
not
the
a good
airplane
idea.
toilet?
Yeah.
That's what those little side windows that open up are for, isn't it? And just like toss all of the.
That was a
Flight
story we've covered in
out
the
the window.
past. I remember it well.
Yeah. Okay, not the most, the smartest people in the world. I mean, most of us are the smartest people in the world, but not all.
Absolutely.
All right. Interesting. Let's continue on with this also from Paddle Your Own Canoe. A part of an airline catering truck left embedded in the side of a Lufthansa Airbus A321 after a driver blunder, a DB, I'd like to call it. Let's see. An airline catering truck was left part of it was left embedded in the side of an Airbus 321 operated by Lufthansa on Saturday morning, shortly after it had landed at Frankfurt Airport. Thankfully, passengers had already disembarked the 12-year-old airplane. I don't know why that's important. And there were no crew members aboard the jet, according to Aero Telegraph. When the catering truck approached the aft galley door to recater the plane for its next flight, it appears that the driver of the truck got a little too close for comfort, and the protective handrails that form part of the platform that catering carts are rolled across from the truck in the galley into the galley punctured the side of the plane's fuselage. No one was injured in the mishap, but the handrails had to be left embedded in the side of the plane, even after the catering truck had been removed. Interesting. Driver carelessness. And I'm sure that was not a cheap error.
Like the
No, but it
uncertainty.
looks a convenient way to make sure passengers don't fall over when they're climbing up into the aircraft.
Safety feature.
Yeah, got extra handrails now. Under the door,
true.
sadly.
A little extra drag there, too. What does Tim have to say? Isn't that where the car hop places the tray? Yeah. No, it's
right,
near the
okay.
window, Tim, not the door.
You might need to explain that for those of us from places other than America.
That don't have car hops.
Go ahead, Steph. Explain it.
Yeah, if you go to a, not as common anymore, but some places. Sonic, and I'm trying to think of any other place I know. There's a few local places around Charlotte that still have it, but basically, you drive your car to the restaurant, you park, and someone actually comes to your car and takes your order, and then they bring your order to the car, and it's generally that you're going to eat there, but you're not going to leave your car. So they'll put the tray like with a little like over the window hook on the side of your window, and then your food is there and you can eat your food.
American Graffiti.
Sometimes done
right?
with waitresses on roller skates.
Yeah, I remember it from the Flintstones. Don't they have a huge rib?
Yep.
Gets put on the side of the Flintstones car and it tips it over.
Mm-hmm.
There
Yep,
you go.
exactly.
That's the
brilliant.
best.
Okay,
Cultural
I've got it
reference.
now. Fantastic. Yeah.
The Varsity used to have that system, but they've gotten rid of the car hops at even the original Varsity restaurant in Atlanta. I'm sad.
Ah, there you go.
Anyway. Okay, back to Atlanta, Liz says. Well, the Varsity is in Atlanta. It's a video. So let me get that all queued up. And I do have it queued up. If somebody will share my screen and put it up there, please. Okay, here we go. Bass Aviation, Real Aviation Communications, and liveatc.net. Delta Airlines 757-232, performing flight 982 from Atlanta to Bogota, was entering the runway for takeoff when one of the nose tires decided it didn't want to go.
Hey, Tower, the 75 on the runway just lost a nose tire.
That's no good.
Delta 79, thanks for that. Delta 982. Tower, sounds like we've got a problem. Yeah, looks like we'll try to taxi clear if we could.
Delta 982, roger. If you'd like, start your taxi down the runway and just let me know.
Roger that. Delta 982, this is the aircraft looking at you. One of your nose tires just came off. It just rolled off the runway behind you. All right, tell you what, let me talk to maintenance tower. I'm going to contact our maintenance folks and see if we can get a tow in. Stand by one, please.
Roger, Delta 982.
Tower, this is Delta 1783. You may want somebody to come out. It looks like the nose tire ran off the runway towards the end down there.
Roger, Delta 1783. We'll be getting somebody out there.
Hey, Tower, Southwest 3167.
Go ahead, 3167.
Yeah, you're going to route us to another runway? Because this looks like it could be quite a while.
We're in the process. There's a lot of moving parts behind the scenes. Give me a second.
Sure.
How does he think he's going to get out of his
We do have an
position
people on
there?
our way out there.
Add like a shortcut.
Take a look at it and assess the situation in the meantime.
Roger that. We're
Southwest,
we're
they want a
talking to
shortcut.
right now, trying to get a tug out here. Tug us in.
Roger that. And definitely going to be tugged off?
Not sure yet. We're still coordinating with
That's what she said.
Roger that.
Tower, Delta 1783.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we saw that tire roll off the runway to the south. It looks like it went off the runway, probably down the bank down there.
All right, so it went off the south side of the runway down the embankment?
That's right. Beam about Lima Bravo.
That would be the word.
Beam Lima Bravo, Roger.
So he totally lost that tire.
Tower up 2 at the stern, let show 27 right closed.
Ops 2, Roger, 27 right is closed. You proceeding on the runway?
Yes, sir, proceeding on 27 right.
Roger. I don't know if you copied the last aircraft stating that they saw the tire and wheel roll off. It went off the south side of the runway, pretty much a beam Lima Bravo. They believe that it may have gone down that embankment, but it's on the south side of the runway.
Up 2, Roger.
And Tower Delta 982, sorry for the inconvenience, gentlemen. Just want to let you know, Ops says they're sending out a tug for us, so they'll tug us off here.
Ooh.
Not a problem at all, man. It happens, but we'll get you out of the way as soon as we can.
This is a new one.
Tower up 2.
Ops 2, go ahead.
Yes, sir, just to give you an update, we have located that tire.
You have located the tire.
Yes, sir, it was in the safety area on the south shoulder.
Roger. We didn't know if it made it all the way to 285.
Up 2, Roger.
And the rest of the airplanes were rerouted to other runways, and the aircraft sat there for 3 hours. Took some time to find a tug, I guess.
Suitable tug?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
A suitable tug.
A pretty enough tug.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, that has obviously... Liz is saying, those Boeing airplanes, and it's kind of sad, some of the headlines out there regarding the 7.5 and somehow conflating that with the 7.3 MAX issues.
Not the same. Not the same issue at all here,
Yeah.
people.
This is a most likely a human error, like some kind of a maintenance issue. Turns out that you actually have to put the lug nuts back in and tighten them up before you let the thing go. Maine Marin says, Elvis Presley, you picked a fine time to leave me, loose wheel. Yep, that's what
We've
Simon
used that as a show title in the past.
Yes, we have. And it was Simon again, Ratke, on Aviation Herald that used that title. Some tugging in the title, yeah, for sure. Okay.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if the wheel and tire assembly came off the airplane, or if the wheel failed and broke apart, because they keep talking about tires.
Well, and I think that somewhere I was reading that it was both. It was actually the wheel and tire together.
Okay.
So
somebody's nuts weren't given sufficient treatment.
Deficient.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's the airplane tires are made in two pieces, so they work a little different than car tires. So there's an additional level of both component failure and the possibility for maintenance-induced failure in terms of assembling the wheel, as well as making sure the lug nut is on the airplane correctly.
Yep.
Cool.
Am I missing something here? Or are we seeing some? Oh, Tim Van Ram. At least no one called it a rim. Yeah. True.
Oh, steady the buffs. Steady the buffs.
Okay. All right. The next couple of items are or somewhat related. It's just a little
The standard of this show is deteriorating
Just
Going
fast.
down the
toilet. Yeah.
From Paddle Your Own Canoe. Well, there you go. Airline passenger gets trapped inside lavatory for the entire flight and has to sit on the toilet as the plane lands. Aw. A passenger aboard a low-cost Indian airline got trapped inside the plane's lavatory for almost the entire flight after the door jammed and refused to open. It refused to open once he was inside.
It had enough. Wasn't going to do it.
It had. The man was then forced to sit on the toilet and hold on to the grab rails as the plane landed before an engineer was able to board the aircraft and finally release the passenger from his claustrophobic surroundings. Let's see. The incident happened on a spice jet from Mumbai to Bengaluru, 737. There you go. Has something to do with the 737 MAX troubles, apparently, and low-cost airlines. Yeah. The man had gone into the lavatory shortly after takeoff, locked the door behind him, but then when he went to return to his seat, the latch refused to release. Captain and crew were alerted to what was happening by the man's screams. Oh, no. Come on. But despite their best efforts, they couldn't unlock the door from outside either. Unable to help him any further, the crew slid a note under the lavatory door, said, "Get a grip, quit complaining and crying and screaming," and explaining what he should do as the aircraft was coming into land. "Sir, we tried our best to open the door. Please quit crying, you baby. However, we could not open the door." So anyway.
Like they said, do not panic.
Yes, do not panic. We are landing in a few minutes, so please close the commode lid and sit on it. That's probably preferable. And secure yourself. As soon as the main door is open, an engineer will come.
I wonder how many nice Koreans know what a commode is.
Well, this is I thought it was an Indian.
This is Indian.
Oh, it was Indian, was it? Sorry.
Mm-hmm. And,
yeah.
Yep.
Well, actually, the Indian people like these old-fashioned words, so they may well know what a commode is.
Yep. Bifold lavatory. This is a note here in the article. Bifold lavatory doors can typically be removed from their hinges in flight by cabin crew in the unlikely event that the lock breaks, but some accessible toilets with a single pane door don't always have this feature. Well, thank you for telling us that.
The 340 had a problem. I had to attack one of our toilet doors with the fire axe in order to release a cabin crew member who was stuck in there at the top of descent. The passengers were all being secured, and we couldn't get the door open. So rather than leave her in there, they said, "What should we do, Cal?" I went down and have a look and found that if you get, the back of the fire axe has got a nice pointy bit on. If you bash that into the bifold bit, you could leave the door open, but it completely wrecked the door. I have no doubt it cost the airline a lot of money, but no one was going to complain.
No. Okay, Ludger has a question. Did they charge him extra for the exclusive ride?
Space jet.
I do like
yes,
Neil's
probably.
question as well, Liz.
Neil says, did the crew have to log the incident?
Oh, please.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah.
Jeff, I think you skipped over the most important part of the story, which was they had medical support waiting to tend to the man as soon as the door was open.
Oh, my gosh. Because
he had to sit on the toilet for an extended period of time.
It's like a psychologist was waiting,
that would have
standing
been.
by.
Yeah.
I'm like, sorry, I think I've got a tight connection. I'm going to have to excuse myself. Been drinking.
Yes. We learned that from last week.
And they called it claustrophobic. Well, I know for a fact that you can get 2 or even 3 people in there at a go. So,
really,
Well, that's what the cabin crew told me. So,
Okay.
I assume it was factually correct. Yes.
Okay. Well, let's end this wonderful news segment by reading this from People magazine. A farting passenger causes an American Airlines flight to return to the gate. According to a witness to the Gassy passenger on Reddit, it says, "We all breathed a sigh of relief when he was removed." That deserves.
Yeah.
An American Airlines passenger reportedly passed gas and loudly bragged about it on a recent flight from Phoenix to Austin. A fellow flyer documented the smelly incident on an Austin subreddit. The plane was forced to return to the gate and the passenger was removed. Okay, so according to the person on Reddit, I was seated near the row where this situation occurred, the passenger recalled. While the airplane was still at the gate, the documentarian says they saw and heard an audibly disgruntled and maybe hungover man. He reportedly exclaimed, "You thought that was rude? Well, how about this smell?" and proceeded to loudly pass gas. I don't know what provoked the comment, and while kind of funny to overhear, it was uncalled for, especially coming from a grown man on an airplane, nonetheless. But the transgression didn't end there. The man who just purposefully farted moments ago decides to loudly and condescendingly say, "Yeah, everybody, let's just eat the smelliest food possible all at the same time," seemingly referring to a scent unrelated to his own actions. In response, a man in the next row reportedly remarked, if you don't like it, you can fly private," to which the Gassy passenger replied, "That's so effing rude." Another passenger chimed in, "I think we'd all agree you're the rude one here." And so, okay, you have a big spat going on in the back. This is a good one. The spat continues with the flatulent flyer responding, "That's just so low class," before another nearby passenger said, "Well, you're back here in economy with the rest of us." Oh boy. So
long story short, they returned to the gate and removed this individual from the aircraft, and he did not continue to wherever it was.
Aired out the grievances.
Yeah.
So I don't know about you. Now, obviously, there is a lot here that we don't know. But if what we are reading here is the actual, how everything kind of went down, I'm thinking this is kind of overreacting by the airline, in my opinion. But I don't know. There must have been more to it.
Maybe overreacting, but I think if it really was getting all of these people somehow involved and riled up, then I don't know. People are a little astonishing to me.
Should we get to know us, Liz?
Yeah, okay. Enough toilet humor for one show.
Yeah, all right. Let's hit this. Getting to know us. The time of the show where we get to find out what everybody's been up to since the last part 1, part 2 show. Yeah, Steph is, I'm looking at her facial expressions going, wondering what I've done. And when was it I last told people?
I was pretty much wondering when the last time I
think it was like Tuesday of last week, right? So it was like
a
week and a half, more than a week and a half ago. It was a while ago. It was when I was down in Tampa for the 2024 Florida RV Super Show. That was part 1. And then on, what was it, Friday or Saturday? Saturday morning, Captain Nick and I completed part 2. By the way, since we're talking about part 1, part 2, I apologize. I tried to be really clever with the last show.
Oh, I think you did a great job. I was
trying to make it sound like we were all together
last night. It was
at
good.
The same time.
Yeah.
Except that there were a couple little places here and there we had referred to part 1, part 2, and they were kind of a little out of order too. So anyway, it was a fun experiment, but I'm not going to do that again. It's too much work on my part. So we'll just run it in real time, chronologically. But this show, thankfully, it's going to be so much easier for me to edit because it's all in one fell swoop. So, yeah. Shall I continue with me? I don't really have a lot to talk about. So, and the lights just went out again. So I'm in my apartment complex's, I guess, clubhouse, club room, club area. It's part of the main building with the leasing office, and also the swimming pool is right out the door here. It's an outdoor swimming pool, kind of in a courtyard area. It's very nice. I'm in the loft area of the clubhouse, and the reason why I'm here is that yes, the little unscheduled surprise water feature in my apartment is still causing issues. And the good news is that today it should be all finished. The cleaning crew that was to come in yesterday or early this morning didn't show up until after noon, and it was just cutting it too close for me to hope that they were going to be completely finished with the job and out of the way, and I could record the show in the normal studio. So I came over here to the clubhouse, and so you hear little things like that in the background because it's a public space, and I can't, lock the doors and keep people from coming in. But anyway, so that's why I'm the background looks a little bit different in my studio. Let's listen. Let's listen to the conversation. No, I can't understand what you're saying. Anyway, so that's my update. Doing a lot of singing again. Sang at a funeral this morning, and did a lot of work on the edit for the last show, and nothing. Oh, sorry, nothing. I think it's time for me to go ahead and pass this on to somebody else so I can hit the little mute button here. Okay.
I can talk next. I was supposed to be in a different area of the country this week, I believe. Yeah.
Were you?
Yep, I was supposed to be flying home today from a work situation.
know?
Unfortunately, a winter storm was scheduled to pass through where we were going to do some work, so that got delayed for a couple of weeks. And now we're starting to get into the outlook forecast for our rescheduled trip. And of course, the weather looks good this week and next week. And then as we get into the outlook schedule, it looks like it's turning bad again for the week that we show back up. So that's a little unfortunate. But outside of that, I've just been doing a bunch of work and have my own background audio coming through. Sorry about that. And the engine. So I've been doing a couple of little jobs on my airplane as I wait for a nice day. I was explaining to the crew before we started that my engine is complete and ready to get dropped in my airplane. Unfortunately, the way that our hangar is laid out, I cannot maneuver my little engine hoist around. Sorry about that. He just got home from school, so he's awfully excited.
That's part of the ambiance.
Can't maneuver my engine hoist around to get the engine in my airplane without rolling our other airplane out of the hangar. And it's been either snowing or foggy and misty for about 9 days. And it looks like that's going to continue through the weekend, but maybe Monday or Tuesday, we will have an opportunity to get the Luscombe out of there and get the engine dropped into the airplane. So hopefully once that happens, it'll be a fast process to get everything hooked up and get it going. Yeah, those are, I think those are the main things. Oh, and we had a big football game last week. It was a big grudge match between me and Liz, and she didn't seem as concerned as I was, but the Chiefs did win. That was one advantage of my trip getting moved, is I was desperately trying to sort out how I could watch the Chiefs game while transiting. While I was transiting from Wichita to Utah, but ended up not having to deal with that. And now our rescheduled time, I think I'm going to be traveling on the off week between the
during the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, the Pro Bowl day, which is of all the days to travel, really best case scenario here in this time of the year. So, yep, that's what I got going on. Hopefully next time we talk, we can talk about a Chiefs 49ers rematch in the Super Bowl, and me and Tim can go at it in the comment section.
Yay.
Excellent.
Yeah. All right. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next. So
Okay.
you mentioned you and Captain Nick recorded part 2 on Saturday.
Mhm.
That got also, I think, rescheduled from Friday or something. So Friday we were going to record when I was at work, so that wouldn't have worked for me. But Saturday morning I was also not available because I had signed up. Periodically I'll do part of the race series at the U.S. National Whitewater Center. So in addition to all their whitewater stuff that they do in the summer, they hold various trail races and other kind of fun, whimsical events at times. And the one for January, we're not in February yet, getting a month ahead of myself, was the short track speed skating event, which is not an actual short track or actual speed skating. But they invite locals basically to come out. They have a youth division, and then for adults, it's, or anyone who's not under the age of 10, I think there's a recreational and a competitive division. And last year I did the recreational division and had a lot of fun, so I thought I'd do it again this year. So I was doing that while you guys were recording. It was a very cold day. Our weather's kind of been all over the place. That day I think it was...
I assume that's an advantage if you're skating on ice.
So today would have been a not great day to be ice skating. I'll tell you why in a second. So I'm glad it was last weekend and not this weekend. I'll just add my pictures here a little bit to the page. So this was actually at the end of the youth division, but I put this one up there because you can see the track that they have kind of laid out. So they actually have these, if you look towards the middle of the picture, to the left of the tree, there's that kind of blue looking equipment there. That's part of the refrigeration unit that they use to keep the ice cold. So they have this big kind of meandering pathway, and then they also have like a miniature skating rink over to the side, and then kind of a big pond area that you can skate in as well. And all of that's in the where they normally would have the water filled up for the whitewater rafting, basically the start pond area before you go down the different channels. So that was the end of the youth division. Those were the winners there. It was not warm. I had this picture up. It was like, it was quite cold, and it was very windy.
You look very
and
happy.
Then super happy, and everyone else also looking super happy and definitely not cold. They do kind of a double elimination round, and I got knocked out after the third round. Won my first heat, and then I was out after the next two. But it was a lot of fun. Something different to do, get outside even on cold, nasty days. So it was 26 Fahrenheit that day, and today it's 70. So it would be kind of a slushy mess, I think, if we tried to do it today. People are out on the golf course in their shorts and t-shirts this afternoon.
Wow.
So all over the place. But yeah, that's I don't really have a whole lot of other updates or interesting things. Just work and a little bit of a break from flying, but that resumes in February. So
excellent. Captain Nick, you're up.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, short week, actually, since we recorded on Saturday. Bowled on Monday, bowled on Tuesday, bowled on Wednesday, bowled on Thursday, county match. And in sympathy with the last news item, today we had the gas man come round to our house to try and fix the smelly central heating system. And despite the fact that the kitchen had been evacuated, I was not responsible since I wasn't in the house at the time. He tells us that there's absolutely nothing wrong with our central heating system. So
it's just your nose. There's something wrong with your noses.
Well, not my nose. Everyone else's noses. I wasn't here to experience the smell of the gas. Anyway, by the by, if we blow up, you'll know that he was mistaken. That's really been it for our week. Nothing much going on. And got a nice quiet weekend coming. Oh, look, here's the show title from the last show. We had a suggestion, I'm pretty sure it was from Main Man Micah, because we were talking about the door blowing off the 737. So it made him think, in fact, I as well thought of that amazing old movie called The Italian Job, which has the lead character who, come on, help me out, Liz, what's his name again? Michael Caine, who they're experimenting to see how much dynamite they should use to get into a security van, and they blow the whole damn van up. And he comes up with the famous statement, "You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off." That's my attempt at a Michael Caine accent.
That was better than Michael Caine did.
Anyway, and of course the picture is an airplane blowing up with one of the minis. Now, this is quite a famous movie. This, if you haven't seen it, The Italian Job, the original, although there is a sequel, a remake. But they, in order to escape from the centre of this Italian city, which is normally completely clogged with traffic, they employ 4 Mini Coopers. The little Morris Minis, to drive around, and they don't use the roads. They go down pavements and through buildings and things. And this is one of their Minis. It's actually a picture of one of the Minis that was used in the film. Escaping from the explosion of our door. And because Jeff's been having so many problems in the headquarters studio, number 1, we've got him, the Mini, driving into the front door of the studio. You got the doors nice and wide open. Well done, Jeff.
Thank you.
That's about it. There was a show title, a number there. Yeah, easy, isn't it?
Easiest one ever.
Exactly. On the number plate, APG 602. But did you see the show logo?
Yeah, it's behind the middle headlight, I think.
Yeah, it's just where the Mini logo is. I was hoping you might mistake it for the Mini logo on the front of the bonnet behind the middle headlight. Yes, there you go. Well done.
Nice job. Thanks for making
Jeff,
it nice and easy for us. Yes, sir.
Before we move on, I just want to point out how well everyone is settling into your retirement pace, because we're recording 6.5 days after the last time we recorded, and Nick just called that a short week. I don't know if you can get a longer week.
There you go.
Well, we recorded on
Saturday.
Yeah, it is 6.5 days.
It's been 6.5 days.
It just feels like it's just flying. Good point.
It's having too much fun. That's what's going on.
Indeed.
Yep. Oh, it's time for the coffee fund. Okay, let's. Oh. I didn't mean to do that.
Johnny, how much more coffee?
Accidental discharge.
I love coffee. I love tea. I love the APG community. Coffee and tea and the Java and me. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup.
Oh, yeah, it's the coffee fund. It's your way to support the show financially. And since the last episode, we have a couple of new producers. We're going to do it out of order. We're going to talk about Patreon. It's airlinepilotguy.com/coffee or patreon.com/airlinepilotguy. And so since the last episode, a couple new producers. We have Bill Busboy. I didn't make that up. And Ara Lucia. She sent feedback to us a few years back, and we haven't heard from her in a while. And so good to see you, Ara. Thank you for becoming a patron of the show. I really appreciate that. And also, I didn't make a slide. I just realized, but I will make one, Vernon, I promise. He used the Coffee Fund Classic method to donate and make a contribution to our show. And he also sent us a little note to go along with it. Actually, a audio note. So let's hear from Vernon.
Greetings, Captain Jeff and crew. It's Vernon Tryon at Fort Morgan, Colorado. Listening to APG 600. Congratulations on your retirement and your 35-year pin, Captain Jeff. To my surprise, I've been on the Fort Morgan Airport Advisory Board for a number of years, and last week I was recognized as I left the board for serving on that board for 25 years. So we both have received recognitions, although yours much more notable than mine. At any rate, just a quick audio to go along with a little bit of a donation to help APG remain commercial free. and wish you and everyone the best. From chilly Northeast Colorado, this is Vernon Tryon. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Vernon. Congrats on your 25 years with that board, and I think that's quite an accomplishment, actually. But thank you for the retirement well wishes from you, and your nice contribution as well. And he picked up on that, and I think he wasn't the only one when I mentioned that we are commercial free, we're advertising free on this show so far, and that's due to you out there becoming part of our Coffee Fund cadre. So thanks a lot. We really appreciate it. And is it time now for us to bring back everybody and maybe do some feedback? Okay, here we go.
Captain, incoming message.
All righty. Now I just need to get to the feedback folder. Okay, here we go. Oh, another video. This was sent to us from Texas Anlashock. Oh, Liz is thinking that he might be in the chat room right now. He was there, but we're not sure if he's still there. So he wrote in and said, "Here's something neat. I got to see the Space Shuttle Endeavour a number of years back, saw a diagram of what their eventual plan was, and now it's finally coming to fruition. There's a couple of notes of interest in this video. First, when they say it's quite possibly the last time anyone ever sits in the pilot seats. And the other is when they say, while it would be nice to inspire a new generation of astronauts, they'd rather have a new generation of engineers because they're the ones who figure out and build all the new stuff that's needed to fly in space." Good. Texas Anlashock is still with us. So thank you for sending this in, and we're going to go ahead. I think we may end up playing the whole darn thing because I think it's worth it. So this is from NBC, the Today Show, and if you'll pop it onto the stage, and I'll hit the little button here, and we'll take a listen and watch.
6, 4. The last time NASA's Endeavour space shuttle was in launch position,
and liftoff for the final launch of Endeavour.
It was on its final mission to space. Now, more than a decade later, Endeavour is about to embark on one last journey, as the California Science Center in Los Angeles prepares to lift the shuttle upright for a first-of-its-kind exhibit that will be the centerpiece to the museum's new Samuel Ocean Air and Space Center.
So whose crazy idea was it to take it from this position and stand it up as if it's going to be launched?
This is a vision that actually we had 30 years ago. We said the best way to display it would be in launch position.
Not only the best position, but the most technically challenging position to possibly put it into.
Absolutely true.
This won't be the first time Endeavour makes a big move. In 2012, when the shuttle first returned home to California where it was built, Endeavour was flown atop NASA's shuttle carrier aircraft, past the Golden Gate Bridge, and over the Hollywood Hills, before a team of engineers helped inch the massive spacecraft through the streets of Los Angeles, a project my own dad worked on, and land at the California Science Center. Endeavour's next mission is even more complex, as the team meticulously stacks the space shuttle system piece by piece, starting with the aft skirts, then solid rocket boosters, followed by the 154-foot external fuel tank, and finally the nearly 100-ton shuttle itself, all to create the only display of an authentic space shuttle system in the world.
Oh, wow, this is cool. Look.
The museum's president, Jeffrey Rudolph, let us drop in on the construction project as the team lifted the last piece of the solid rocket boosters into place.
So look at this. The workers are basically going to catch it and then fasten it to the top of the solid rocket booster. I've never seen anything like this.
For an even better view, we climbed 15 stories.
Heading up, 150 feet in the sky. Let's go.
To get a glimpse of what's to come.
So the museum, quite literally, as you're moving these pieces into place, is being built around us.
Yeah, we're actually putting in the shuttle, and then we'll finish the rest of the building around and above it.
I made the mistake of saying you're going to drop the shuttle in.
We're not going to drop it. We're going to lower it gently.
Very gently and slowly.
Before its final lift...
So you can step up here? Okay.
Project director and NASA veteran Dennis Jenkins let us get an exclusive last look inside Endeavour and crawl into the flight deck.
This is the commander's chair?
Where it's a tight squeeze into the front seat of history.
This is one of the last times that anybody's going to sit in these two chairs.
It is probably the last time.
What does it feel like for you to just be sitting in a seat one last time?
I love it. I used to sit in that seat a lot because all my controls were overhead. So it's great being up here.
When this thing goes vertical, what's your hope for it? You know, how it's going to inspire a new generation of potential astronauts, engineers.
Yeah, it's the engineers I care more about than the astronauts. I mean, everybody wants to be an astronaut, but what we need is engineers, and hopefully this will inspire a bunch to go to school to be those things.
The hope now that the final endeavor for this shuttle will launch new dreams of space exploration.
Oh, Jacob, you got some incredible access there. Talk to us about the next steps in this process.
Well, Hoda, in LA, everybody's got a commute. They say 45 minutes minimum. This thing's got a 2-hour commute, as a matter of fact, around the corner in order to be stacked vertically. They say it's supposed to be done by the end of the week, but then the main event happens. Check this out. Maybe the best shrink wrap job in the entire world. This is the Space Shuttle Endeavour. It's open to the elements now because they're going to disassemble this structure around it. And over the course, hopefully, of the next 2 weeks, if all goes as planned, this thing gets moved as well, stacked vertically. Then they have to build the museum around the entire stack itself, and that's not slated to open maybe it's for as long as 2 years. It's going to be an extraordinary process to watch, and this is like Geek Central. It was amazing to be inside that thing, guys.
Oh, we could tell by that look on your face. All right, Jacob, thank you so much.
And give me pour me a new glass of red wine.
Don't miss the Today Show every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific on our streaming channel, Today All Day. To watch,
what's the weather going to be like?
/all day.
What's that?
What's the weather going to be like tomorrow?
That's what the weather is. Al Roker. Hopefully NBC doesn't get too upset about us playing that entire segment, but I thought it was worth it. That was really interesting.
It's absolutely fantastic. I had no idea how impressive it was going to look till I saw those images. It's absolutely fabulous, and I think it's going to make a brilliant centerpiece to the museum.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Texas and LaShock, for submitting that feedback. That was awesome. All right, let's continue on with some feedback from Sam Dawson. Oh, and yeah, the next two feedback items are both from Sam and have to do with the 737 issues, notably the 737 MAX. And I guess what would be the best way to kind of summarize this? Right. The first article kind of does kind of make it sound like the manufacturer of the fuselage, Spirit Aerosystems in Wichita, were kind of, there were a lot of people pointing their fingers at them, and then we have learned since this article, and it's a dynamic story, obviously, but there were some reports from some whistleblowers kind of speaking up and saying, no, we think that this was actually something that happened in Boeing's hands, and basically kind of criticizing the systems that they use for quality checks, and one's called the MCAS, not MCAS like the original problem with the 737 MAXs, but MCES, but I think they pronounce it MCAS. And what does that stand for again? Manufacturing. I don't remember exactly what the acronym stands for. But then there's also another safety system where they log maintenance items called SAT, S-A-T. And I since Nick Camacho, you're our A&P mechanic, this kind of centers upon not maintenance itself, but more the manufacturing, but more of the nuts and bolts, literally, of the situation. And maybe you can help us out a little bit with some of these articles regarding what happened, what's the bottom line? What has happened here with that door falling off and apparently the bolts not even being installed, or if they did remove them, they forgot to put them back in, and then they put the airplane into service.
Right. So one of the articles that Sam sent talks about. So at the beginning of this story, right, there was some question about this plug, which we've talked about in the past, and whether it was installed by Spirit or whether it was installed by Boeing, or who owned the quality control aspect of the installation of that plug. And these more recent articles lead us to believe that, or are pointing towards the plug being installed when it left Spirit, and then being removed while some work was done in Washington by Boeing, and then reinstalled to some less than adequate level. It seems like it's still very confusing to me, just because the work was done in Renton in the Boeing facility, but there are still Spirit employees working in the Boeing facility, assisting with the repair and basically like any non-conformances that they find there. These articles kind of talk about
or something like that.
Yeah, more or less, right? So like Spirit will say, or Boeing will say, hey, this wasn't done, and there are Spirit employees there that can either fix it, or I think in some instances Boeing can probably fix it, and then there's some sort of like haggling issue or something that takes place because Boeing is now incurring more cost. And I think a big part of this, I don't know, I have zero insight into this, but I do know that Spirit has had previous quality issues. They just turned over their CEO probably around October, maybe. They've had 2 prior incidents of either bad guidance to technicians or just poor workmanship that has caused issues down the line for Boeing. So I think the moral of the story here is that while this model of like heavily subcontracted work being flowed down the line to a final integrator can work, I think that communication, like there has to be very good communication. There has to be really solid quality control programs in place in both areas. And I think that probably gets muddied as that relationship deteriorates. And, Spirit, there were a couple of years where Spirit, so in the years leading up to 2019 or 2020, whenever the MAX thing happened, Spirit was really ramping up, and they were trying to hit these very high production numbers. They were, this is where I live, is where Spirit's located. So anything that they do is big numbers, and or anything they do is big news. And they were regularly publishing articles, I think, increasing production rates to 42 units per month, and then maybe 52 units. Those numbers are just numbers I'm pulling from my recollection, but very large numbers of airplanes. And then the MAX thing happened, and even though that was almost all on Boeing's side, it tremendously impacted Spirit. And so that took them a couple years to work through, in addition to all of the COVID supply chain issues. And then as they were kind of coming out of all that and things were ramping back up at Boeing, then the roles kind of switched in a sense, right? Because now Boeing, there were a couple of issues on Spirit's end that Boeing was having to deal with. And so there's been some comments and articles about, kind of a strained relationship between those two entities. And it's pretty straightforward in terms of responsibilities for permanent work, right? Like inseparable assemblies, completed parts that once they're done, they're just done forever. So when Spirit rivets a fuselage together and sends it to Boeing, it's easy to say there's a rivet missing, or there's rivets done poorly, or there's a bulkhead gone, or there's holes in a bulkhead, which, rivet issues, extra holes in pressure bulkheads are some of the things that Spirit had been struggling with. Those are all pretty straightforward to sort out. It gets, I think it gets a little more cloudy or unclear when you're talking about something that could have been installed correctly or incorrectly, and then it's handed off to another company, and now they're talking about uninstalling it and reinstalling it. And, then it becomes an issue of, was it installed the first time correctly? Did whoever take it off, just put it back on the way that it was supposed to? Is that an appropriate method for them to do that? Was the correct hardware used the first time? So,
I heard some of the issue here was, in regarding the systems to kind of track things, because everything, in fact, Becky kind of touched on this on our last episode regarding, do you have some kind of a checklist procedure or a way of documenting things on your personal aircraft build and engine rebuild and reinstallation and that kind of thing, where everything is pretty, usually pretty well documented as far as, things are taken off or put back on. There are certain checks that are required to be conducted. And I guess in this case, the left door plug was, they needed to do something to it. I don't remember exactly what it was, but they were kind of having a discussion at Boeing whether they needed to actually just open the door or if they needed to actually remove the door plug. And I think if they just opened it, and both, by the way, require the removal of those bolts, those 4 bolts, but only one of them required it to be written up, the removing the entire door plug and not just opening it. And I think they opted for the opening it part, and so it wasn't documented, apparently, that they opened it and closed it. So nobody knew to go back and look and make sure that it was, put together properly and the bolts were installed. And they also make a point that because everything is moving so quickly through this line, I forgot how many, airplanes they were pumping out every month at the Boeing plant in Renton, but the next day it's going to be a completely new group of people, a new crew. And that's why I guess it's so important that they document all of these things going on. And so nothing that drops, between the cracks or whatever the saying is you want to use.
And that's one advantage. There are advantages and disadvantages to various ways to work, right? And one of the disadvantages, so they are incredibly efficient the way they build airplanes at Boeing, and they have figured out ways to make people as efficient as possible and use machinery. But one of the downsides is, like you said, there are so many people touching the same parts of the airplane, and it's very easy to miss a small action like tightening a fastener or whatever. And so that, when they happen upon those issues, then it results, the outcome is often like putting another process in place or putting another system in place to track it. And so as good as they are at building airplanes, they do face some different obstacles in like a small one-man shop would face in either like building a experimental airplane or even just doing maintenance, right? Like one rule, I was talking about some of the rules I followed with the feedback from last week. And another one of those is I learned from somebody, from one of my mentors back in the day when I started, I learned that there is, you never put a fastener or a bolt or a nut on an airplane without tightening it down to, fully installing it. Like there is no run it on finger tight and finish it later. You either put it on all the way or you leave it out, because it is very easy to tell that a fastener is not installed correctly if it is not installed at all. But if I just run it in there finger tight, or if there's a nut on the back or something and I run it in there finger tight, it's pretty easy for someone to come in behind me the next day and just glance glance through everything and say, oh yeah, all the fasteners are there. We're ready to go. We're ready to close this thing up and move it on or fly it or do whatever when it's not completed. So it is harder to have those small checks as organizations get bigger, more people are touching the airplane, and they're driving for more efficiency, right? So that's where all of these acronymic systems that you're bringing up come into place to try to maintain the efficiency that they're looking for, but still improve the quality assurance of the airplane.
That's very interesting. Do you mind if I just read the last few sentences of this last article? Because I think it kind of ties this all together. When the writer says, another mechanic who'd asked not to be identified to protect his job echoed that, saying that new people with very little or no experience working on this type of aircraft have been hired to replace machinists with over 20 years of experience. At the end of his online post, the whistleblower asks, so where are the bolts? I mean, he's referring to the 4 missing bolts, we assume they were missing, from the door that allowed it to move out of place and therefore become detached from the aircraft. Probably sitting forgotten and unlabeled on a work-in-progress bench. Unless someone has already tossed them into the scrap bin to tidy up, which is exactly what you're saying, Nick. If someone sort of gets halfway through a job, takes the bolts out, and it isn't followed through in a logical and double-checked system, someone is going to forget to put them back.
Exactly. All right. Well, I mean, Sam sent us quite a few articles regarding this. They will all be in our show notes. So please check that out. By the way, a note about show notes. In addition to the time codes and some, depending on how you're watching / listening to our show, some of them have hyperlinks, and others you have to click on the thing that says APG 603 show notes, and that will open up a separate document that has all of our articles that we're referring to in it, and along with the links to various things like videos and pictures and that kind of thing. So just thought I'd mention that. All right. An audio is coming up, and let's see. Is there something to read with that before I play the audio? Okay. Let's see. Just want to make sure that we don't screw that up. Yeah. Oh, actually, this is some feedback that was sent to Liz. So, Liz, do you want to go ahead and read this? No, I'm just kidding. She says no. Hi, Liz. This is Stefan from Hamburg. I've attached 2 questions in the form of MP3 files. Okay, and he's suggesting that we place them in separate shows for a more comprehensive discussion. Thank you, Stefan. Okay, so yeah, I guess I didn't need to read that. So let me go ahead and just play the audio feedback from Stefan, and we'll kind of answer whatever he is posing. And now we hit this button.
Hi, Captain Jeff. Hi, Captain Nick. Well, hi, every captain in the world, even the retired ones. Congrats, by the way. How do you feel? This is Stefan from Germany calling. And I first thank you for posting my picture from Argentina. Yes, I spread the word all the way across South America for your podcast. And also, again, a big compliment to Captain Nick when he was visiting me in Hamburg. I forgot to mention that he was flying, I was flying with him, some steep turns which he did perform, and actually they were perfect. I just would like to mention that. But now to my questions. I do have a question regarding those Condor striped airplanes. I sent you 2 pictures, one red one and one orange one striped. And first I had I've heard rumors, and then I asked a crew member from Condor, and she confirmed that as well, that apparently those red and orange striped airplanes are not allowed to fly in the States or in Canada or in both, because they are very similar to some rescue or firefighting aircraft. They apparently also, they have red and orange, not striped, but red and orange, white changing or intermittent colors. So I don't know if that's true, but maybe you and your audience can find that out and give me some feedback as well. Thanks, Kate, for your great podcast. And, well, carry on. Great show. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Auf Wiedersehen, Stefan.
So, Liz, since he sent this to you directly, where are those pictures that he sent?
Sorry, I must have missed them. I didn't get them. But I do have a comment to make about the red and orange thing. In Ontario, we have a big system of air ambulances because the province is so big, and they're called orange air ambulances, and they're all, both helicopters and fixed-wing planes are all painted in orange. So maybe that has something to do with it. I also know that the firefighting planes that are owned by the government that fight fires in both Quebec and Ontario are yellow and red. So maybe that's why they've been told not to fly here. I don't know.
Very interesting. Was he saying, Nick, that your steep turns were perfect, or his steep turns?
Well, he did give me control of his lovely Piper, and I did fly it round in a few circles. And because, I thought, well, it's not an aerobatic airplane, what can I do? So we did do some 60-degree angular bank steep turns. And I always, we used to do them in instrument readings and things, and I always thought the pièce de résistance when you do a steep turn is if you get through 360 degrees, then hit your own turbulence, which means you've finished just at the same point you started. And we did that. So as soon as I hit my own turbulence, I said, that's enough.
no point in doing any further.
Yeah,
this is
absolutely
good.
done. I've done enough now. You have control.
That's like when you fly with somebody for the first time and you make a just amazing landing. You go, okay, from this point on, I'm not going to touch the airplane.
Exactly.
Every single, just take my word for it. Every landing is just
You're getting every landing on this trip. Yeah, quite right, Tim. Yeah, perfect. But Stefan was ever so complimentary. It was a very nice chap.
Yes.
I hadn't heard anything about the striped aircraft not being allowed to fly here. I just thought Condor didn't fly to the U.S.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
don't think I've ever seen a Condor here in the U.S.
Not that I'm aware of.
Maybe they do.
I just went on their website and it says they fly to about a dozen airports, but I haven't. I haven't seen them either.
Interesting. And thank you, Stefan, for spreading the word about APG in Argentina. I think we have a couple of new listeners now.
Don't cry for me, Argentina.
All right. And thank you. We'll play his second audio feedback in our next show. Sam again. Is this the Sam show?
It is this week.
Let's see. Advice to Chris. He says, Jeff, Nick, Rick, Steph, and Liz. I feel I'm starting to come across as the curmudgeonly, loud-mouthed pilot everyone loves being paired with. Man, will you just stop yapping so I can finish reading my book? That was his comment. In listener feedback, a listener named Chris, a flight instructor, asked for advice on his next move. He's approaching the 1,500-hour mark and was wondering if he should pay for getting his ATP training or finish his time and let a regional pay for it. Miami Rick gave the advice to pay for the ATP program. My advice is different. First, let me start by saying that Rick isn't necessarily wrong. Really, the only way you'll know if you made the right or wrong decisions in your flying career is when you set the parking brake for the last time and look back at the entirety of your career, which both Captain Nick and I have been able to do. If you just compare your career to others, you'll never be satisfied unless maybe if you retire as number one at a company. As a regional captain, I saw many less experienced and younger first officers hired ahead of me by legacy airlines. Initially, I started to fill with bitterness at being left behind, until my wife reminded me that I was still being well paid for a job I loved. So keep the love for your current job and excel at it. Second, addressing minimum hours to get hired by a legacy airline. Normally, those hired with minimum hours have things in their resumes that set them apart. Military pilots, pilots who were interns at that major, legacy pilots, or those who have lineage at the airline. Normal run-of-the-mill pilots will normally need more to set them apart. This especially changes as the hiring landscape changes. We've already seen some cargo carriers and ultra-low-cost carriers stop hiring. I think legacy carriers will continue to do so, but you will probably see fewer of those with minimal hours getting hired. Third, don't just view the 1,500 hours as a box to be checked, but as experience to be gained. Use this time to broaden your experience base, get your commercial glider rating, get some aerobatic and or upset recovery training. I agree with that. Learn to fly a tailwheel. When I went through my interview at my current employer, a good deal of time was spent asking me about different aircraft I flew and different training I had done. Not probing questions, but questions showing that those interviewing me were genuinely interested in my broad experience. But beyond that, I think my different flying experiences and jobs all added to make me a better, more well-rounded pilot. Remember, you still have to make it through new hire training. Whatever route you choose, enjoy the trip. It passes so quickly. And remember, in the words of the famed physicist, neurosurgeon, rock star, and test pilot, Buckaroo Banzai, no matter where you go, there you are. And he ends this, signs off by saying, Sullen Sam. And has a
well
nice
said.
Picture of, yeah, that's cute, from the movie Up, I think.
Yeah, it is. So, and I was thinking about that, that advice we were giving to Chris, and I love what Sam says here. He says it much more succinctly than the way I think I was trying to say what I was trying to say, is that there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's going to be different for every individual. I always feel a little hesitant to give advice that might lead people to spend more money on something than they would have to achieve the same goal. But like he said, Rick's not wrong in his advice either. So got to do what's best for you.
Yeah. And I think we made that pretty clear, that we really don't have the crystal ball. We don't know what, as Sam just eloquently expressed, and until you set that parking brake for the last time, that's the only time you're going to be able to look back and know whether or not the decisions that you made in your career and the decisions made in training and gaining experience were the right ones. All right. Thank you, Sam. Let's continue with this from Scott. Hi, Captain Jeff and the crew. First time emailing in. In fact, I only started listening about 6 months ago. You have become my go-to aviation podcast, so keep up the good work, and congratulations, Jeff, on your retirement. This applause is for being his go-to aviation podcast, not my retirement. I wanted to add to the discussion in episode 601 about the Japan Airlines A350 and Coast Guard -8. I've been out of the industry for about 10 years now, but previously I've done every job in ground handling, dispatch, ops, load control, ramp, fueling, airfield ops, etc. And I was a student pilot before I decided to change direction and save a lot of money, he says. Anyway, back to the point. There were so many chances to avoid this accident. You've got the Swiss cheese model of accidents, as we know. And I went, wait.
No.
He's new. He's only been listening for about 6 months. Okay. And so we need to gently correct him and make him understand that it's not the Swiss cheese model anymore. Now at the APG, we've introduced the Funyuns model, all the Funyuns lined up.
Exactly, yes.
Yes.
Where does this guy come from? Did they have Funyuns? Oh, Blackpool. Sorry, they don't get a lot of Funyuns in Blackpool, so I think we're going to have to forgive him.
Okay, we're going to give him a pass on this one. Okay.
Yeah.
Getting back into his feedback, there was obviously confusion on the dash flight deck as to whether they were cleared to line up, which I'm going to guess down to poor CRM resulted in the first officer not questioning the captain or asking ATC for clarification. Then seeing the stop bar lights extinguish obviously caused bias confirmation. As Rick said, the NOTAM list can go on for pages and pages, so they may have missed that one or forgotten about it during high workload. Did the crew do the looking both ways before entering the runway check? That's a good question. Maybe not, or maybe they saw lights on the approach but assumed that they would be departing before that would be an issue. One thing no one has mentioned that I'm aware of is ATC had planned to get the dash away after the JAL had landed and slowed the preceding aircraft to allow for the departure. So in this case, why did ATC not issue the instruction to the dash, quote, behind the next landing Japan Airlines A350 line up and wait behind, to facilitate a speedy departure between arrivals? This is standard practice, is it not? If this instruction had been given, then it would have made the crew realize they obviously should not be on the runway and avoided this accident with a go-around. I think it depends on where you are in the world and whether or not your regulatory authority allows for that kind of instruction. And we're not air traffic controllers ourselves, so I'm not sure exactly, we listen to, or many of us do, a very, very, top-notch, probably the best aviation podcast in the world, Opposing Bases. They really do have a great show. 2 air traffic controllers and pilots, and they, talk about this as a squeeze play. I'm not sure having a conditional statement like that is necessarily the best way to handle the situation, honestly. What do you guys think?
How do you know that it's the next arriving A350 for sure?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
I think
like,
I thought a lot of pitfalls in that kind of procedure.
yeah, it needs to be very clear about now is the time to do this, not after this happens, then do this.
No, I've been given that clearance plenty of times, and it really relies on that aircraft that's about to pass being quite close to you. And there'd be no confusion between that and another aircraft that might be landing. So, it's the sort of thing that you can get line up behind. If it's a very tight space, then you probably need to have that call so that you can almost be on the move as he floats past you and you get straight on the runway without any delay. But you're right, all these practices have the potential to give you a problem if they're not used correctly.
Right. Okay, back with his feedback. It's interesting to think as well that if they had chosen to go full length, they either wouldn't have entered the runway without clearance, or if they had, we would have been dealing with a near miss as they overflew the dash. Yeah, good point. But I think, I'm not exactly sure why they ended up, putting them at that intersection and not the full length. Maybe because they knew that that airplane didn't need to use the entire, and that was just best for the whole sequence of flights taking off. That's what I'm guessing. Obviously, the A350 crew would never have noticed the aircraft on the runway, as you said. It's kind of anti-intuitive having a white light on the tail. It would have just looked like any other white centerline light. And the anti-collision reds on a dash are barely visible, stood next to them on the ground, if I remember correctly. One other thing, I know they have said the ground radar system was operational, but they weren't looking at the time. I was under the impression there is also an aural warning in times of conflict. Can this be turned off? Seems an odd thing to be able to do on a safety system. Yeah, I don't know enough about that system, Scott. What are your guys' views on the main 2 points about lineup clearance and the conflict aural warning? Oh, okay, I see. I should have waited until the end before we tackled those, but sorry, Scott. Anyway, he says, take care, everyone. Scott, near Blackpool, England. Does anybody here on the panel know anything about that ASDX system, the ground based radar system? And I don't know if they're the same or if they're
Not enough to know
systems.
if it always includes an oral warning at all sites or at all locations. So, sorry.
My feeling is that they're probably different systems around the world. So probably a different one in the UK as to Japan, as to America, perhaps. So I don't know much about them.
Yeah.
Well, somebody out there will, though, perhaps. So perhaps they'll let us know.
If you know the answer, send us feedback at airlinepilotguy.com, and make sure you include an extra $20 bill. Otherwise, Liz will not put that in the feedback. No, I'm just kidding. That has nothing to do with it. Okay,
but let's not forget that TCAS still works. You can still see the symbols of aircraft on the ground when you're on the approach, and vice versa. In fact, it's one of the requirements is that we used to turn on TCAS, particularly in low visibility situations, so that we could monitor aircraft on the approach and make sure that we weren't going to make a mistake. But it's not necessarily. You think everything's fine and that the day's perfect, and you're not expecting someone to make a mistake. So it's not like he couldn't look up the approach and see the guy or whatever. So it's very tough to know what to do.
All right, just a quick pause. I know it's getting late for you, Captain Nick, in England. And,
it's only 11:15. I can do for another half an hour.
Okay. And then Camacho, I know that you have family obligations and that kind of thing. So if you need to take off, feel free to do so.
Okay. I think I'm good for a bit.
Okay. Very good. And the lights are are going off again.
Do you need to get up and move around for a second and get them to turn back on, or you're all right in the
I
dark?
could, but then I'm going to have to use the restroom if I do that. So why don't I wait for a bit before I do that? But you can still see me, and it's an audio podcast anyway. And the light that you see shining on me, I know that there have been some comments about me, doing the Boris Karloff look, from the under lighting, under the neck or chin lighting. And that's because the lighting is the screens that I have, an iPad screen.
It's very flattering, Jeff. We can't see your double chin. It's almost as good as a beard.
Well, it's not a double chin. It's actually this, what do we call this, turkey?
It's
turkey
not.
neck.
Oh, okay.
What is that called? I don't know. It's a loose neck. There's probably some
loose
kind of
goose
product.
Sounds like a question for a plastic surgeon.
I'm not going to do that. I'll live with my turkey neck. Okay. Well, why don't we do that now? Let's jump to 15 and do this before Captain Nick leaves us. All right. The next piece of feedback we're going to do from Steve in reference to APG 602 drain cover in space. Good morning, Jeff and crew. Or, well, I don't know. It may be morning, it may be afternoon, it may be evening where you are right now. Thank you for a great podcast. Happy retirement, Jeff. Well, thank you. And thank you. I was listening to the plane tale, and it occurred to me, excuse me. That's my Topo Chico mineral water, trying to escape. I was listening to it's my effort to add CO2 to our environment, I think. I was listening to the plane tale, and it occurred to me.
Not going green.
No, it's definitely anti-green.
Yes.
Yeah. I was listening to the plane tale, and it occurred to me that the drain cover that was blasted would have reached the moon in 2 hours. It tickled me to think that one day an astronaut on the moon would find it. It would be funny. Question for Captain Nick. I flew Heathrow to Boston on 7/7/2003, VS11, Flight 11, I guess, Golf Victor Hotel Oscar Lima, the tail number, and back on 10/7/2003 on Flight 12, Golf Victor Oscar Golf Echo. Was Captain Nick on either of these? Keep the sunny side up and the tarmac beneath your wheels, Steve. What's your answer, Captain Nick?
Yeah, well, that's an interesting question, Steve. Not the bit about the airplane, but a bit about the manhole cover hitting the moon. I reckon it'd been a pretty good shot, because if you look at the size of the moon, yeah, there's an awful lot of space around it. But the reference your flight to Boston, I'm very sorry to say I was between flights on those days, although I did take your aeroplane, G Vogue, off to Tokyo later on the same day that you landed in it from Boston. So your odor would still have probably been on the in the cabin, and we might possibly have crossed paths at the airport. You never know. And indeed, I took the very same airplane off to Boston and back later that month, but I wasn't privileged with the job of taking you there and back on the dates you flew. So I'm sorry about that.
And then what about the chances of that manhole cover hitting?
Yeah, I did mention that it's a pretty small target. So I'm going to put it at 150,000 million to one.
So you're saying
sort of chance of winning the Euro lottery or whatever. Yeah, there is a chance. In fact, if only there'd been an astronaut standing on the moon at the time, we could have killed him. But sadly not.
Fortunately not. Anyway.
Yeah, you're probably right, Steph. Fortunately not. Although it would have been to come as a great surprise if they go one small step for man.
Nice. All right. Thank you, Steve. And we're going to continue on with some audio feedback from our friend Paul. And I did my famous skipping maneuver. So let me retract my skipping, and not that it makes really much difference if we do them out of order, but here we go. This from Brian. I found this airline story humorous, and it gives us a link. This is Brian from Katy, Texas. Did you know a man bought all the spare B-2 windshields and used them in his daughter's treehouse? The U.S. Air Force had to buy them back to replace a damaged Spirit windshield. Sounds like we're like it's Christmas time, and I'm hearing bells ringing on sleigh bells. Anyway, let's see. So interesting sound. Maybe I should let somebody else read this.
I'll read it. All right. So a little bit about the B-2 Spirit. It's a multi-role bomber capable of delivering both conventional and nuclear munitions. A dramatic leap forward in technology, the B-2 brings massive firepower to bear in a short time anywhere on the globe through previously impenetrable defenses. The revolutionary blending of low observable technologies with high aerodynamic efficiency and large payload gives the B-2 important advantages over existing bombers. The B-2's low observability is derived from a combination of reduced infrared, acoustic, electromagnetic, visual, and radar signatures. These signatures make it difficult for the sophisticated defense systems to detect, track, and engage the B-2. Many aspects of the low observability process remain classified. However, the B-2's composite materials, special coatings, and flying wing design all contribute to its stealthiness. The Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri is the only operational base for the B-2. Then it goes on, let's see, about these windshields that were sold as surplus. So they're talking to the folks at Whiteman Air Force Base. One day a maintenance NCO came in to pick up a laptop because he was driving a few states away to pick up some spare B-2 windshields. He told me that over 20 years of flying and thousands of hours of flying transcontinental missions, a B-2 has never needed a windshield replaced. The windshields were believed to be indestructible. During a routine flight, a B-2 struck a Canadian, pretty sure that used to say goose. Someone changed it to Liz. And the impact left a hairline crack
I
on
wonder who
a
did that.
windshield. I'm pretty sure I know who's been in here editing the copy, but it rhymes with Captain Prick. Nick. It's his own. That was his own words. The maintenance squadron placed an order with the Air Force Parts Depot, but they replied back that there were none in stock. The spare windshields had been in the warehouse for such a long time with no orders for them that someone thought they belonged to a discontinued airframe. The windshields were sent to the Air Force Defense Reutilization Marketing Office program, which sells surplus items to the public. The maintenance squadron reached out to the company that manufactured the windshields to see if they had any spares or could make new windshields. Company stated that they did not have any spares and the molds were disposed of a long time ago. If the Air Force wanted them to manufacture a new windshield, the company would need to retool an entire site due to the windshield's complexity. The cost would be astronomical. In the meantime, the Parts Depot reached out to the DRMO to try and identify anyone who may have purchased a windshield. Turns out that the windshields were sold as a lot to one individual a few years prior. After much effort, the Air Force was able to locate the man and sent a representative to his residence. The man still had all of the spare windshields in his possession and, through an undisclosed amount, agreed to sell them back to the Air Force. Edwards concludes, I am sure you're wondering why someone would purchase surplus aircraft windshields. He used them in his daughter's treehouse. How stealthy is your treehouse?
I was going to say, I don't know that if that's a picture of the actual treehouse or not, because I think that they couldn't actually find the treehouse because he had those stealth windshields.
Stealth coating, everything.
What a great story. I'm just dying to know what you guys think that you sold those windshields back for.
Hopefully a lot.
Yeah.
Well, that was your mistake. I'm going to capitalize on this.
Yeah. What are you reckon? $500,000 each?
I wonder what the astronomical
sounds like a good price
cost would have been to retool the machinery.
Ah, exactly. Yeah. Interesting question. I love it. Great story.
Quite humorous. I liked it as well.
So I have a lot of background noise. So we could do one of two things. We can go ahead and end the show earlier than I was expecting to, or we can continue on and somebody else could take the head hosting duties, and then I'll do whatever I can in support in the background. What do you think?
Yeah.
I don't care. I can go either way.
We've gone through, I don't have a strong opinion on that. We actually don't have that much feedback left. We could probably just roll them into the next show if you wanted to.
Okay.
Let Captain Nick get to bed and Nick
I like that
Camacho
idea.
get to his family, and yeah.
Okay.
Yep,
Sounds
good
like
with that.
Good plan to me. All right. So with that, we're going to go ahead and end the show. A nice short show for you all. A little treat from us. So now you have time to listen to all those other podcasts that you never get a chance to listen to because they're just not as good as ours. You're welcome.
Well,
there'll be a plane tale hopefully next show, so that'll make it a bit longer.
Okay. And I, again, apologize for the noise in the background. I mean, this filter that I have on my very expensive preamp does a really good job of like constant noise, like fan noise and that kind of thing. But other speech, it doesn't know what to do with that. So it can't
You have fans there, and you don't want to hear them applauding and things? I don't know.
Not that kind of
What's wrong
fan.
with you, Jeff?
Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and wrap it up, and we're going to do that first by pointing you to our website, airlinepilotguide.com, where you'll find information. Let's see, Dr. Steph is pointing to it right there, just in case you weren't sure exactly what I just said. Airlinepilotguide.com, where you'll find information about the crew and the community and merchandise. We have a library. We have more info about the plane tales and so much more, so please check it out. And also, we're on social media. So, Steph, take it away.
We sure are. You can head over to facebook.com/airlinepilotguy. Also on X, we are at APG Crew with individual handles pinned to the top of that page. And check out Captain Nick's amazing artwork for each show over on Instagram. We are APG Crew on Instagram as well. We've got a new YouTube suggestion here, but yes, on YouTube as well. You can watch the videos of the live recorded portions of the podcast. So youtube.com/airlinepilotguy. And if that's just not enough, I would encourage you to check out Slack. And hopefully Hillel has wandered into the, it was using the restroom in the common area there with you, Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully he's not stuck in the lab.
I'm not sure he's able to actually come to us from the lavatory here in the common area. So I'm going to go ahead and have him join me right here at this table, and he's going to tell us all about Slack.
APG listeners, please join us on our Slack team. Slack is a communication, coordination, and sharing platform that works on your mobile, laptop, or browser. On Slack, we share news and ideas. We suggest episode and Plain Tales topics. We plan events and meetups. To get into the Slack team, please email me at slack@airlinepilotguy.com. That's SLACK, Sierra Lima Alpha Charlie Kilo @airlinepilotguy.com, or send me a tweet with your preferred email address to @Hillel, and I'll send you an invitation. That's Hillel, spelled Hotel India 11 Echo 1, and see you in Slack.
Thank you so much, Hillel. And also we want to bring in our producer, Liz Piper. Come on in, Liz. Come on, you can do it. She's not going to. There she is.
I had to turn myself off on Unity there.
Ah, gotcha. Okay, well, we'd like to thank Liz for all the wonderful work that she does behind the scenes before and after and during the show. And we don't just say that because she'll get mad at us if we don't, because she doesn't really get mad. Unless it's behind the scenes. Maybe she talks bad about me behind the scenes. Who knows?
Yeah.
But anyway, we really do mean it. So thank you so much, Liz.
You're
We love you.
I know you wanted to wrap up early so you can go see your clean apartment. It's nice and
Yeah,
clean.
well, I'm hoping that it's going to be a clean apartment. We'll see.
Nice.
It was pretty. They're like the blinds have like the wallpaper ceiling, not wallpaper, but ceiling drywall mud. It's just like splattered all over the place. So I'll be curious to see if it got cleaned.
Go do some quality control
of detail. Yeah. Anyway, and you know the one of the fixtures that the water was pouring out, they did get the fixtures up, the ones that had the water coming out of them, and two of them are over the island of the kitchen island, and I don't know, maybe it's just me, but they both look like they're like slanted. They're not going like straight up and down, and I think for most, maybe I'm the only one, but most pilots, if we see something like a painting or something like that isn't quite exactly level, it really bugs us. Am I the only one?
No,
or
you're not.
No? Okay. So anyway, I think these things are actually slanted a little bit, but I'm thinking, I don't care.
Only got a few
I'm
more
going to be out of
months.
this apartment soon enough. So
Jeff, if I worried about everything that was tilted slightly, I'd have never have landed the aeroplane.
Oh, well, that's not exactly what I mean, but good point. Anyway, anything else you want to say before we wrap it up? No? All right. Well, thanks again, crew, for joining me today on the show. And also, thank you for those of you who have joined our live chat room on youtube.com/airlinepilotguy. And until next time, wishing you all clear skies, unlimited visibility, and tailwinds. Talons, Douglas.
Cheers, y'all.
Bye, everybody.
See you next time.
Hey, that's my line. Bye, everybody.
Hey, that's my line.
Wait. Bye.
Sorry.
See ya.
Think of something else. Be original. Get lost, you horrible lot.
Sorry, Liz.
Oh, your light's back on, Jeff. You're
I know,
bathed, you're
'cause they're-
bathed in light.
That's because there's a bunch of people having a party
moving
and
around,
sleigh bells
gabbing
jingling
downstairs.
and
Yeah.
But it's not just my club area.
No.
It's everybody's.
Well,
here
you
at the
got
complex.
through most of the show before they.
Yeah, I actually was thinking that same thing, thinking this could have easily have happened much earlier in the recording, so it worked out well, I think.
So you turn your recorder off?
Oh, well, no.
So,
but let me do
Nick,
that.
titles.
Yeah, good question.
Between Aldi and Wendy's? I don't know. That
Across
to me
from
is
Aldi's and Wendy's.
That is just so funny to me. I
yeah,
don't know
we're
why.
just across from Aldi's and Wendy's. Do some shopping after this.
And I mean, from the same incident, I think this was Tim Van Rams or somebody, commuter plane in the commuter lane.
Yeah,
that
like-
one's pretty good.
I feel like
Well, that
Nick
is a good one.
needs to work in greetings from New Hampshire for 603.
Greetings from New Hampshire.
Wasn't that the
Micah
area
said
code?
there's something here about a tug in the bathroom, but I'm not sure what it is.
Well, something about tugged off. There was a whole bunch of tug.
Well, we had a bit of tugging me off and wheel nuts and that sort of thing, yeah. And a greasy spat. Oh, Gassy.
Ugh.
Gassy
Ugh.
spat. Packs removed, I've got here. Between, I've got enough
Locked
there
in
to
the
keep
loo.
going on with.
You got enough? Okay.
Mayday in the lab.
Well,
Mayday in the lab. Okay.
Mayday.
And Nick, you came up with this one yourself, a 4-furnace aircraft. Like you said, there were 4 furnaces stacked on the wing of that aircraft.
Oh, yeah, that's true, yeah.
4
very
furnaces.
true.
So you could just have a plane with a whole bunch of furnaces on it.
Indeed. I've done an airplane with 4 vodka bottles on the wing.
Yes, yes.
That was a while
That's
ago.
a Russian furnace.
Exactly.
Indeed, a vodka burner.
Oh, look at Neil Landwarn, turd class captain.
Oh, God.
Oh,
that one's
this is a good
great.
one from
That
Tim
is
Van
good,
Ram,
Neil.
given their call sign, friendly
Fly
fly-through.
Friendly fly-through.
At Wendy's, they went to
Too bad they didn't go to
So
the friendlies.
drive-through. I'm in the drive.
Jeff, you may
the
just have to
fly-through.
split this one up into 5 episodes. So Nick can
Exactly.
take
Yeah,
advantage
you're
of
gonna need
all
like
the great
multiple.
cover art for each section.
Yep.
Yep. Well, have you got
I don't
some-
envy your job this go around, Dick.
I think he's got
No,
lots.
this is more the merrier. This is brilliant. Well done. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, everybody, have a great weekend.
Thanks for hanging with us, guys.
That's what
Yeah,
I said.
brilliant.
Bye.
All the best. Cheers.
See ya.
Bye-bye.